This young man had cultivated for thousands of years, possessing immense cosmic power, and was revered by all as the Ziwei Celestial Venerable. Yet, right on the verge of ascension, Mu Ly made the shocking decision to reverse time and return to the past. Instantly, a beam of light pierced the sacrificial altar, while violent lightning tore through the sky, striking directly onto a school rooftop. Mu Ly had returned to May of 2017, back when he was still a college student. Zhou Shiheng, in this life, I swear, I won't let you hurt my family ever again. With that thought, Mu Ly stood up straight, shook off the shock, and ran toward the dorms of Longshan University of Technology. Inside room 1103, he was the only one who had been reborn into this moment. Mu Ly knew exactly what he had to do first: make money as fast as possible to pull his family out of absolute poverty. He needed to claw back every single cent he could get. With that in mind, he flipped open his laptop and began typing away like crazy. A moment later, loud voices echoed from the hallway. It seemed his roommates were finally back. They were excitedly talking about hitting up a new crawfish joint near campus, all of them hyped and laughing. But the second they opened the door and saw Mu Ly sitting at his desk, their moods instantly shifted and they began to mock him. Yo, young Master Mu, skipping class again today? The boys are starving, so how about you treat us to dinner tonight like you always do? Mu Ly heard him but just played deaf, keeping his eyes on the screen as his fingers flew across the keyboard. Seeing him ignore them, the roommate snapped, shouting, "You broke loser, think you're too good to look at us now? Aren't you afraid we'll expose your little secret to the entire class? You're not some rich trust fund kid. You made all that up to look cool. Want me to make you famous all over campus for being a fraud?" Mu Ly couldn't be bothered to care. He had just finished formatting his laptop's hard drive, wiping every single file clean. Seeing Mu Ly ignoring him only made the guy more furious. The other two roommates jumped in to hold him back, trying to prevent a fist fight in their room. Come on, Chu, take it easy. If he wants to play pretend and act rich, just let him. But seriously, Mu Ly, your roommates have been keeping your secret all this time, and you don't show a shred of gratitude? Acting this ungrateful is really not a good look, man. Mu Ly knew they were all cut from the same cloth. Although those two sounded like they were defending him, they were actually just rubbing salt in his wounds. He didn't even give them a glance. He just slid his laptop into his backpack and slung it over his shoulder. If you want to run your mouths, go right ahead. I honestly couldn't care less. This complete shift in Mu Ly's attitude took his roommates completely by surprise. They stood there dumbfounded, except for Chu, who was still raging. You little punk, we gave you a way out and you throw it back in our faces? Want me to beat the living daylights out of you? His insults got nastier, but to Mu Ly, it was nothing more than a barking dog he chose to ignore. Because right now, he had much bigger things to worry about. Although the heavens had shown him mercy and let him reincarnate, his divine powers were completely drained. Besides making money, he also needed to find a way to regain his cultivation. Shaking off his thoughts, he headed straight to a computer repair shop. Wiping his laptop earlier was done for one simple reason: he was going to sell it. But because he had used the laptop for 3 years, even though it looked brand new, he only got 800 yuan for it. Holding the cash in his hands, Mu Ly felt a pang of sorrow. His mother had scraped and saved for months just to buy him this computer when he started college. Yet now, it couldn't even fetch 1,000 yuan. Yet, in his past life, driven by a shallow desire for vanity, he had pretended to be a wealthy heir, spending his days partying at clubs and constantly blowing cash to buy off his roommate's favor. Whenever he ran out of money, he would shamelessly text his mother, demanding more. Because of his selfishness, his mother worked herself to the bone, and her health rapidly deteriorated, leading to a tragic end. By the time he finally woke up to reality, it was already too late. And that was why he willingly traded 5,000 years of cultivation just to return to the past and fix his mistakes. Hey, Mu Ly. Lost in thought, Mu Ly was startled by someone calling his name. Turning around, he saw his younger sister, Mu Xin. Seeing her alive and standing right in front of him, a rush of emotions overwhelmed him. In his past life, his reckless actions had dragged her down with him, eventually driving her to jump from a building to end her own life. Noticing his pale face, Mu Xin asked, "What's wrong, big brother?" "Nothing. It's nothing." Mu Ly quickly snapped out of his dark memories and waved his hands. He secretly swore that in this life, he would protect his sister at all costs and never let her or their mother suffer again. Then, he watched as she rummaged through her bag before pulling out a paper envelope and handing it to him. She told him it had 5,000 yuan inside her hard-earned savings from working part-time for 2 semesters. "Take it. And please, stop asking Mom for money. Mu Ly was stunned. How did his sister manage to save so much money? But before he could ask, Mu Xin impatiently shoved the envelope into his hands. Looking at her brother, she snaps at him to stop playing dumb. She already knows that Mu Ly blackmailed their mother, threatening to drop out of school if she didn't give him money. She also knows he spends all day partying and messing around with a bad crowd. But since they're flesh and blood, neither their mother nor she could just abandon him, take it and start acting like a decent human being, young Master Mu. Calling him young Master Mu is incredibly sarcastic. In his past life, Mu Ly's fragile ego made him act like a parasite, draining every single penny from his mother and sister. But in this life, he really doesn't need it. He tells his sister to keep the 5,000 yuan and use it for school. However, at the mention of school, his sister's expression darkens even more. After hesitating for a moment, she finally confesses the truth. She dropped out of school a long time ago. With their family drowned in massive debt, the loan sharks have already started showing up at their door to collect. Their mother alone could never make that kind of money, so she dropped out to work part-time and help their mother, giving up her own education so her brother could have a future. Hearing this, Mu Ly feels a sharp stab in his chest. He rushes over and pulls his sister into a tight embrace from behind. This sudden reaction catches his sister completely off guard. "What are you doing?" "I'm so sorry, sister. Just give me some time. Trust me. I promise I will turn things around for our family." He delivers those words with absolute certainty in his voice. Mu Ly's sister is used to his empty promises, but for some reason, she senses a shift in her brother this time. To be exact, he suddenly seems incredibly reliable. After saying goodbye to his sister, Mu Ly heads straight to a traditional Chinese pharmacy. He uses the cash from selling his laptop to buy some herbs, then makes his way into the forest on the outskirts of the city. He needs those herbs to brew a spiritual elixir. Since Earth's spiritual energy is incredibly weak, he has to rely on this concoction to accelerate his cultivation. Before long, the herbs in the pot begin to blend together. Eventually, they turn into a crystal-clear liquid that looks just like pure water. This is proof that Mu Ly's concoction is a success. He downs the entire bowl and sits down to meditate, channeling his energy. The path of cultivation is divided into 5 realms. From lowest to highest, they are the Qi refining stage, the core formation stage, the divine ghost stage, the deity transformation stage, and the ultimate heavenman stage. Even though he lost all his spiritual power, Mu Ly still retains the memories and experiences from his past life. That knowledge will definitely help him regain his power in the shortest time possible. Even if he only reaches the first level, the Qi refining realm, he will still possess strength that far surpasses any ordinary human. Mu Ly focuses entirely, and after 1 hour, he successfully breaks through to the first level of the Qi refining realm. He decides to test his power with a punch. To his satisfaction, his fist punches clean through a massive tree trunk. Mu Ly is extremely pleased. For now, this strength is enough to handle any martial artists in Wuxia. With his physical power sorted out, his next priority is finding the fastest way to make money. Fortunately, he already has a place in mind. That place is an internet cafe. But of course, he isn't here to play games. He is here to log on to the Epic Trading Network. This website is known as the world's underground black market, a place where people trade information, buy and sell items, post bounties, and accept high-risk missions. As soon as Mu Ly clicks onto the site, a mission posted by an anonymous user catches his eye at the top of the homepage. The objective is to assassinate the daughter of the wealthy Su Wen from Longshan for a massive reward of 10 million yuan. Below the post, a notification shows that the assassin Feng Qi has accepted the contract. The comment section is completely blowing up over the news. Since Feng Qi is a top-tier killer, having him handle the job means the Su family's beloved daughter is as good as dead. Some users express sympathy for the Su family, as Su Wen is known to be a peaceful, low-profile businessman who keeps to himself, and his daughter is said to be an absolute beauty. Nobody knows who they could have angered to trigger such a deadly hit. Mu Ly finds it crazy that someone would spend 10 million yuan just to end a girl's life. But for him, this looks like the perfect opportunity. Scrolling further down, he spots another post, this one from Su Wen himself, begging for help. He is offering a whopping 20 million yuan for a top-tier bodyguard to protect his daughter for 1 month. Mu Ly smiles to himself. Since nobody has accepted the job yet, it seems like it was practically custom-made for him. Without a second thought, he immediately accepts the mission. His username on the site is Wuji, a name completely unknown to anyone, Seeing a complete nobody dare to go head-to-head with Feng Qi, the online onlookers are thrilled to watch the drama unfold. A clueless newborn calf really isn't afraid of the tiger. This is going to be quite a show. Just as Mu Ly takes off his headphones, his phone rings. After sharing his location with the caller, he casually sits back and waits for the Su family's ride to pick him up. Meanwhile, Su Wen's secretary is highly skeptical after tracking Mu Ly to an internet cafe. "Sir, can we really trust this guy? At this point, we should be grateful anyone took the job. Just go pick him up and we will see." Half an hour later, Mu Ly arrives at the front gates of the Su family villa. Tavan might have been called a businessman, but he was far from ordinary. At just 45 years old, he was already the chairman of one of the absolute biggest conglomerates around. This villa was just a tiny fraction of his vast empire. When Mok Ly stepped out of the car, Tavan couldn't help but be shocked. He never expected the person taking on the mission to stop Fong Thick to be this young. He personally went out to the door to welcome him, asking, "Are you Mr. Vo Kook? I am the one who posted the mission, Tavan. Please, come inside so we can talk." Mok Ly wasn't in any rush to sit down for tea. Instead, he asked Tavan to show him around the villa so he could get a feel for the layout. Tavan agreed immediately and started sharing his situation as he showed him around. It turned out that Mr. Tu had a mortal enemy in the business world, and the two had been feuding for years. Not long ago, Tavan got his hands on evidence of his rival's illegal financial dealings and handed it right over to the police. As a result, a warrant was issued for his enemy's arrest, forcing the man to flee in fear of prosecution. But then, this scoundrel resorted to a dirty, underhanded trick to seek revenge. Tavan's daughter meant everything to him, so he didn't hesitate to spend a fortune hiring bodyguards to keep her safe. Mok Ly quickly grasped the situation. Having carefully examined the Tu family's villa along the way, he said, "Mr. Tu, your villa seems quiet, but you've got quite a few people hiding in the shadows, don't you?" Tavan was absolutely stunned, because there were indeed numerous bodyguards secretly stationed around the villa right now. He was absolutely certain they had hidden themselves perfectly and were keeping completely quiet. He never expected Mok Ly to notice them with just a single glance. Of course, it was a good thing that Mr. Tu had taken the initiative to set up an ambush, but Mok Ly had to be brutally honest with him, warning that against a high-tier assassin like Fong Thick, these men would be completely useless. Just then, Tavan's secretary rushed over to report that Master Lam had arrived. It turned out that Mok Ly wasn't the only one invited. To protect his daughter's life, Tavan had also invited 62-year-old Lam Viet, an intermediate martial artist, along with his disciple, Tru Zhuyen, a low-tier martial artist. As soon as he arrived, Lam Viet let out a heavy sigh, saying he had originally wanted to bring in another assistant. But the moment anyone heard their opponent was Fong Thick, they immediately turned the job down. Hearing this, Tavan's expression darkened significantly. Lam Viet quickly reassured him, "Don't lose heart. Your father was an old friend of mine, so I will do absolutely everything in my power to find the best way to help you." Only then did Lam Viet notice someone else was standing there. Tavan quickly introduced Mok Ly, explaining that he was the one who had accepted the mission on the global black market under the alias Vo Kuk. Both Lam Viet and Triu Zuyen stared in utter shock, unable to believe that such a young kid dared to go head-to-head with a notorious killer like Fong Thick, especially Tru Zuyen. Filled with skepticism, he sneered, "Hey kid, do you really think you can handle a 20 million bounty mission?" It was glaringly obvious that Tru Zuyen was looking down on him with pure contempt. Lam Viet immediately barked, "Triu Zuyen, show some respect." But despite his words, both Lam Viet and Tavan harbored massive doubts of their own. After all, Mok Ly was simply too young, and there was no telling how strong he actually was. With that in mind, Tavan asked if he had any plans to protect his daughter yet. Mok Ly nodded and instructed him that, as a first step, he should disable all the security cameras in the villa and dismiss all the hidden bodyguards. Hearing this, Lam Viet sighed heavily again and shook his head. "Little brother, are you trying to lure Fong Thick out? But a simple trick like that won't fool someone like him." "No," Mok Ly flatly replied. "I am telling you to do this simply because they are way too weak. Keeping them around will only get in my way." The moment those words left his mouth, Tavan, Lam Viet, and Triu Zuyen were all completely dumbfounded. They had no idea what Mok Ly was truly capable of, but he certainly talked a massive game. He then glanced at Lam Viet and Tru Zuyen, adding that the two of them could barely be allowed to stay. Those words, "barely allowed to stay," were a massive blow to their pride. Tru Zuyen immediately flew into a rage. You arrogant brat. Do you think you are a martial venerable or something to look down on us like that? Do you have the guts to fight me right now? Mok Ly let out a cold smirk. What is a martial venerable anyway? In my past life, I was just a step away from ascending to immortality. If you want to test me, you are nowhere near enough. This pushed Tru Zuyen's anger to the absolute boiling point. But Mok Ly did want to show his client a glimpse of his strength, so he told Tavan to gather everyone who could fight and have them all attack him at once. He could easily take on 100 on his own. Tavan never expected Mok Ly to be so confident as to make such a request, so he suggested he test his skills against Tru Zuyen first. However, Mok Ly had no interest in such low-level challenges. By this time, the bodyguards hidden throughout the Tu family villa had gathered, looking as thick as ants. It seemed Mr. Tu spent a fortune keeping them around. Seeing this, Zhao Chuan smirked and crossed his arms, confident that his men could easily handle Mu Ly without him even lifting a finger. Let's see just how many seconds this kid can last. The moment those words left his mouth, the bodyguards lunged at Mu Ly all at once from all sides. But Mu Ly just stood there, completely still, showing absolutely no sign of fighting back or running away. Both Su Wen and Lin Yue couldn't hide their doubt at his lack of movement, even fearing that Mu Ly was simply frozen stiff with fear. But the best part was yet to come, because as the bodyguards charged in like raging beasts and the first thug swung a massive fist at Mu Ly, it felt like he had just punched a solid, invisible wall. That impact triggered a massive explosion with Mu Ly at the center. The bodyguards were instantly blown away by the blast, with not a single one escaping. Meanwhile, Mu Ly just stood there with his hands in his pockets, looking totally relaxed. Of course, he didn't have a single scratch on him, not even a single hair was out of place. The trio Su Wen, Lin Yue, and Zhao Chuan were completely dumbfounded by the sight. What on earth just happened? He didn't even lift a finger, Su Wen gasped. At that moment, Mu Ly turned around and casually gestured for Zhao Chuan to bring it on too. Even though he had just witnessed Mu Ly's incredible strength, Zhao Chuan absolutely detested the kid's arrogant, look-down-on-everyone attitude. Infuriated, he charged forward with everything he had. When he was about 3 meters away from Mu Ly, Zhao Chuan leaped high into the air and unleashed a flashy spinning kick. Unfortunately, he didn't even get to touch Mu Ly before he was effortlessly sent flying by a single counter-strike. This was no ordinary counter. Just seeing the brutal force with which Zhao Chuan was sent flying was enough to show how devastating that strike truly was. Now, what about you? Having dealt with Zhao Chuan, Mu Ly turned his gaze to Lin Yue. The old man quickly cupped his hands in respect and said, Mr. Wuji, this old fool was blind to your true power. Please accept my deepest apologies. Zhao Chuan struggled to crawl back to his feet, utterly shocked by Lin Yue's submissive attitude. Master, is it possible that even you are no match for him? Lin Yue shook his head and revealed that even Mr. Liu, who had recently broken through to the martial grandmaster realm, was no match for Mu Ly. As soon as those words came out, Su Wen's jaw dropped. He could hardly believe his luck. It felt like he had just pulled an ultra-rare prize from a mystery box. Is that really true? Absolutely, Lin Yue confirmed solemnly. Mr. Wuji is a martial grandmaster, a legendary master of boundless power. Since Lin Yue said so, it had to be true. Su Wen had always trusted his judgment blindly, but this piece of news was still incredibly hard to digest. After all, Mu Ly looked so young. He didn't look anything like an all-powerful martial grandmaster. Right then, Su Wen's daughter, who had absolutely no idea how much danger she was in, finally woke up. Having confirmed Mu Ly's true power, Su Wen welcomed him inside to formally discuss the plan to protect his beloved daughter. Before they began, Mu Ly had laid down 2 conditions. First, there had to be a down payment, specifically 2 million yuan. Second, throughout the mission, she must absolutely follow his instructions. If he said go east, they must not go west. Su Wen obviously had no reason to object, so he immediately ordered his staff to arrange the payment. Mu Ly nodded in satisfaction and added, now that the deposit is settled, I'll need to go out and take care of some personal business tomorrow. Hearing this, Su Wen panicked. Feng Qi was notorious for striking fast. He feared that within the next day or two, the assassin would make his move on the Su family's daughter. In that case, Mr. Su, your daughter will just have to come with me. Mu Ly replied. Su Wen was conflicted. He believed that nowhere was safer than the Su family mansion, which was why he had been keeping his daughter locked indoors for the past few days. As he was lost in thought, the old man suddenly heard his daughter calling out to him, Dad! The three of them looked up and saw Sujiaki standing on the stairs, looking sleepy and still wearing her nightgown. As Su Wen's only daughter, 19-year-old Sujiaki was indeed a breathtaking beauty. Seeing his daughter dressed like this, Su Wen felt both embarrassed in front of his guest and incredibly anxious. "Why are you walking around dressed like that? We have guests over. Go change your clothes right now. I'm locked in this house like a prisoner every single day, doing nothing but eating and sleeping. What else am I supposed to wear besides pajamas?" Sujiaki shot back, her tone dripping with rebellion. As Su Wen grew angry, Lin Yue quickly stood up to defuse the situation, pointing out that it was only natural for Sujiaki to be frustrated after being cooped up indoors for so long. Sujiaki scanned the room and noticed Mu Ly, whose face was completely unfamiliar to her. She pointed right at his face and asked, "Who's this guy?" "Sujiaki, I am warning you. Mr. Wuji is an esteemed guest here to protect you. Watch your manners." Su Wen grew increasingly anxious, terrified that his daughter's rudeness would offend Mu Ly and make him walk away. But the young lady had clearly been spoiled rotten since childhood. Hearing that Mu Ly was there to protect her, she didn't show any gratitude. Instead, she looked down her nose at him. "Just him?" Mu Ly calmly set his teacup down with a soft click, a sound that made the old master even more restless. He then stood up and casually introduced himself to the young heiress. He also demanded that the young lady follow his instructions for the next month if she wanted to stay safe. In exchange, he promised not to restrict her freedom or keep her locked in the house. Hearing this, Sujiaki immediately latched onto the key detail. "If you are not going to restrict me, then I want to go out." Mu Ly turned his head to look at Su Wen. Although Su Wen was deeply worried, he had no choice but to sigh helplessly and nod in agreement. Having achieved her goal, Sujiaki's eyes lit up. She had been bored out of her mind after being cooped up inside the house for the past few days. Then, Mr. Su put on a serious face and set one condition for his daughter. When she goes out with Mu Ly tomorrow, she must stay close to him and not wander off. Sujiaki agreed on the surface, but she was completely oblivious to the danger she was currently in. She secretly thought that once she got outside tomorrow, there was no way she would ever take orders from a mere bodyguard like Mu Ly. The next day, Sujiaki got all dressed up and hopped into her family's luxury car with Mu Ly. As soon as they left the villa, she told her driver, Uncle Tone, to head straight to Metropolis because she had not been shopping in forever. But Mu Ly, sitting beside her with a poker face, told him to go to Longshan Polytechnic University instead. Furious at this, Sujiaki threw a tantrum and demanded, "Uncle Tone, who are you listening to?" Too bad for the young lady, because starting yesterday, Su Wen had made it crystal clear to all the household staff that for her safety, everyone must obey Mu Ly for the next month. So between the two of them, Uncle Tone obviously had to listen to Mu Ly. Seeing that he was not listening to her, Sujiaki threw a fit and angrily demanded to be let out of the car. Uncle Tone looked through the rearview mirror at Mu Ly, silently begging for help. "Let her out," Mu Ly said shortly. The car immediately pulled over. Feeling smug, Sujiaki opened the door and stepped out. "Well then, I will take my leave." But as it turned out, Uncle Tone had pulled over in the middle of nowhere. There was not a soul in sight, and the eerie sound of crows cawing echoed through the desolate area. Terrified by the creepy surroundings, Sujiaki froze. It took her all of 2 seconds to assess the situation and quickly crawl back inside the car. Her face was completely flushed with embarrassment that was so humiliating. Now, Mu Ly was not exactly a guy who knew how to comfort women. Seeing her sulking face only made him feel annoyed too, so he said, "Look, stop throwing a tantrum. Just behave and come with me to finish what I need to do first. After that, I will go wherever you want." Sujiaki huffed, clearly displeased, but she had no way to argue back. Before long, they arrived at the dorms of Longshan Polytechnic University. Sujiaki stepped out first, staring at the building in front of her with utter disbelief. "Is this where you live? It is a complete dump." Mu Ly could not care less about her complaints and silently got out of the car. But a luxury car pulling into the dorm campus with a gorgeous girl stepping out was a massive deal for the college students. Seeing this, a group of guys rushed to their balconies and started shouting and catcalling, which only disgusted Sujiaki even more. So when Mu Ly told her to follow him inside, she resisted with every fiber of her being. "My lady, Master Su gave strict orders that you must stay within Mr. Wuji's sight at all times." Uncle Tone tried his best to coax her, but his words were nowhere near as effective as a single sentence from Mu Ly. "If you want to go shopping later, you had better get inside." Desperate to go shopping, Sujiaki pouted and followed Mu Ly all the way up to his dorm room. Inside, Mu Li's 3 roommates were sitting around shirtless, playing video games. When they saw Mu Ly walk in with a stunning girl, they immediately started teasing him. "Oh, Master Mu, the girl you brought today is gorgeous. Why don't you let the boys hang out with her too?" Ever since his reincarnation, Mu Ly already detested these toxic roommates. Seeing them dare to hit on Sujiaki right in front of him made him glare at them with fury. He stepped in front of her and growled in a harsh tone, "Stay away from her." The 3 of them just scoffed. "What's with that look? We are just teasing your girlfriend a little." "Why so serious? It is just a joke. We are buddies, right? Surely the great Master Mu would not get mad over a little joke like this." Mu Ly scoffed coldly. "If you love hitting on girls that much, go find your own." With that, Mu Ly used a fraction of his spiritual power to give them a good scare. Sujiaki did not notice anything out of the ordinary, but under the influence of his power, the 3 roommates suddenly saw countless skulls surrounding them, howling and demanding their lives. The illusion was so terrifying that all 3 of them collapsed to their knees, shaking like leaves and stammering for mercy. "What is wrong with them?" Sujiaki asked in confusion. Of course, she had no idea what horrifying things the 3 guys were currently seeing. "It is nothing, just a minor hallucination," Mu Ly replied. He then told Sujiaki to sit at his desk and wait for a moment while he packed some clothes and took a quick shower before they left. A short while later, the 2 of them were back in the car. Still dying of curiosity about his roommate's reaction, Sujiaki asked Mu Ly, "Hey, tell me already, what kind of black magic did you actually use back there?" Looking at the spoiled young lady's bratty attitude, Mu Ly really got a headache, so he simply raised his fist. "Since you already know how tough I am, why do you still dare to disobey me?" Sujiaki instinctively flinched and took a step back. She raised both hands to shield her face and let out a scream, but Mu Ly had already calmly returned to his seat. Then, he casually said, "Just kidding. How could I ever hit a spoiled young lady like you?" Sujiaki felt totally played yet again. She was absolutely furious, ready to throw hands with Mu Ly right there in the car. At that moment, the driver turned around to ask where they wanted to go next. Getting back to business, Mu Ly called his younger sister to ask where she was. Mu Xin told him she was at work and gave him her address. Soon, the car was rolling toward 107 Longza Road. When they arrived, Mu Ly realized it was a diner. But this place was far from ordinary. All the servers were young girls, dressed in maid outfits, treating customers like their masters. Not knowing his sister worked there, Sujiaki assumed Mu Ly had some weird fetish and burst out laughing. "So you're into this kind of stuff, huh?" Mu Ly didn't reply because he was still in shock, never expecting his sister to work in a place like this. The 2 went inside, got a table, and ordered some food. Mu Ly then asked their waitress if there was anyone named Mu Xin working there. The waitress nodded immediately, saying Mu Xin was in the kitchen grabbing some dishes. Before long, Mu Ly spotted his sister. She walked out of the kitchen carrying food, and her heavy makeup and maid outfit were an absolute eyesore to him. Mu Ly was so furious. "Xiao Xin, you've kept me waiting for way too long. Get over here right now." Witnessing this scene himself, Mu Ly's brow furrowed instantly. The guy was Sun Chengren, a 23-year-old who was the only heir of the Longxi real estate group. But in reality, he was just a loaded scumbag. Judging by Mu Xin's expression, it looked like this wasn't the first time she had been harassed by this Sun guy. "I still have work to do. Young Master Sun, please excuse me, but I can't entertain you right now," Mu Xin said reluctantly. "Wait, don't go," Sun Chengren called after her, even pulling a small box out of his pocket. Inside was a sparkling diamond ring, along with his proposal, "Xiao Xin, be my girlfriend." This dramatic move got the rest of the customers excited, and they all began crowding around to watch the drama unfold. Even though Sujiaki was sitting quite far away, she still recognized him. Mu Ly didn't step in right away, wanting to see what kind of nonsense this guy was planning to pull on his sister. Sun Chengren thrust the ring in front of Mu Xin's face, looking incredibly smug as he continued. "Xiao Xin, I know your family is dirt poor, and you've got a useless brother who burns through cash like water. So life must be really tough for you. Just come with me, and I can guarantee you'll live a life of absolute luxury from now on." Even though he was technically proposing, Sun Chengren's arrogant tone felt more like an insult to Mu Xin. But even if he had been a bit more polite, he still wasn't her type. Mu Xin firmly rejected him and got right back to doing her job. Sun Chengren never expected a poor girl like her to turn down such an attractive offer. Humiliated and furious, he grabbed a glass of water from the table, poured it all over his own crotch, and yelled, "Manager, get your butt out here right now." Seeing that the troublemaker was young Master's son, the manager didn't dare delay for a second and rushed right over. Without a shred of shame, the guy started lying, claiming Mu Xin had splashed water on him and demanded she wipe him clean herself. The moment the manager heard this, without even trying to find out the truth, he blamed everything on Mu Xin and even raised his hand to slap her as punishment. But just as his hand swung forward, someone caught his wrist. "Who the hell are you? Let go of me right now," the manager shrieked, but Mu Li's grip was incredibly strong. The man couldn't break free at all, and before he knew it, Mu Ly casually tossed him backward. With a loud crash, the manager's fat body slammed right into a table, snapping it completely in half. Needless to say, that had to hurt. Both the staff and the customers watching the scene could only gape in utter shock. Mu Xin was no exception, never expecting her brother to suddenly show up here. As for Sujiaki, this was her first time witnessing Mu Li's fighting skills, and she was completely shocked. The shop owner looked so big and burly, yet he was tossed aside like a puppy. Who the hell are you? I'd advise you to stay out of other people's business." Sun Chengren scrambled to his feet and rushed over, pointing his finger aggressively at Mu Ly. Compared to the shop owner, this guy was as thin as a sheet of paper. He definitely couldn't take a beating, and sure enough, his fate was no different from the shop owner's. Slammed to the ground by Mu Ly, Sun Chengren's entire body ached as if his ribs were shattered, yet he still tried to act tough and threaten him. "I'm the heir to the Sun Real Estate Group. You dare hit me? Do you have a death wish? Wow, what a surprise. I had no idea the Sun Real Estate Group was so high and mighty." Right then, another voice rang out, instantly making Sun Chengren turn pale. "You dare lay a finger on my people?" Sun Chengren thought he was hearing things at first, but to his shock, Sujiaki actually showed up, and she was even stepping in to defend Mu Ly. How could his tiny company possibly compare to the powerhouse Su Group? So, before Sujiaki could call her dad to settle the score, Sun Chengren knew his place and scurried out of the restaurant. Seeing how pathetic he looked, Sujiachi found it hilarious. She nudged Mu Li's shoulder and teased, "You owe me a huge favor now." No, he actually owed her his life. He meant every word. If Sujiaki hadn't stepped in, Mu Ly might have sent Sun Chengren straight to his grave. Sujiaki wanted to say more, but Mu Xin grabbed Mu Li's hand and begged them to leave immediately. Mu Ly had so many questions, but all he could ask right now was why Mu Xin was working here. "The pay is good," his little sister replied as briefly as possible. Mu Xin's heartbreakingly calm attitude made Mu Ly feel a deep pang of guilt. It turned out his sister had suffered such humiliation, all because of him, a spoiled brother who used to burn through money like water. Yet, in his past life, Mu Ly had been completely oblivious to it all. He stood frozen in place for a long time, completely at a loss for words. "Mu Ly, I haven't changed my clothes yet," Mu Xin whispered. Only then did Mu Ly realize she was still wearing her maid outfit. He turned to Sujiaki and asked if she knew any good clothing stores nearby. Sujiaki immediately beamed and said, "You asked the right person." They went to a few boutiques together. Sujiaki picked out several outfits for Mu Xin, and every single one looked stunning on her. But when she saw the price tags, Mu Xin turned pale. She quickly waved her hands and said, "These are way too expensive. I can't afford them." "What are you worried about? Your brother is loaded now. He could buy out this entire store if he wanted to, let alone a few outfits," Sujiachi reassured her. "How is that possible?" Mu Xin was completely shocked. "He's actually working as my bodyguard right now, and his salary is incredibly high," Sujiaki explained. Mu Xin was still completely bewildered. But in the end, she let Mu Ly pay for all the clothes. After they finished shopping, he transferred another 200,000 yuan to his sister, telling her to keep some for herself and give the rest to their mother to pay off their debts. Mu Ly knew Mu Xin had a lot of questions, but he couldn't just tell her he had been reincarnated. Even if he did, she probably wouldn't believe him anyway. So, he made up a story, claiming he had met a mysterious master who set him straight and taught him advanced martial arts. Long story short, he was a completely changed man now. He thought his lie sounded pretty convincing, but Mu Xin wasn't that gullible. "Mu Ly, do you honestly expect me to believe something so ridiculous?" "Look, sis, I really have changed," Mu Ly said earnestly. "People don't just change for absolutely no reason, do they?" Mu Xin pressed. Her question left Mu Ly completely speechless. The two of them locked eyes for a few seconds before Mu Xin suddenly burst out laughing. "Whatever, even if you don't want to tell me the real reason, that's fine. I'm just glad you've changed. I'll go home and let Mom know about this." As Mu Xin turned to leave, Mu Ly called out, asking her to apologize to their mother on his behalf, but his sister refused. She believed it was something he needed to say to their mother himself. Once his sister was out of sight, Mu Ly walked back to the car, only to be teased by Sujiaki again. Let me ask you something, Grandmaster Mu Ly. You're not one of those tough guys who fears nothing but is terrified of his little sister, are you? Mu Ly didn't say a word, but his slightly flushed, embarrassed face served as his answer. Seeing his reaction, Sujiaki stopped teasing him. As the car started moving, she kept bringing up how much she had helped him out today. First with Sun Chengren, then with taking his sister shopping. Naturally, she felt Mu Ly owed her a reward. Mu Ly knew exactly what the young mistress was hinting at, so he told Uncle Quan to drive wherever she wanted. You can go wherever you want now. Hearing this, Sujiachi squealed with joy and immediately told Uncle Quan to drive straight to the Metropolis Mall. After all, her absolute favorite thing in life was shopping. Since the young mistress was in such high spirits, she shopped non-stop until late in the afternoon. As for Mu Ly, his job as her bodyguard had temporarily upgraded to being a human clothes rack. It wasn't until Sujiaki's haul completely packed the back seat that she finally felt satisfied enough to head home. But right before Uncle Quan started the car, Mu Ly suddenly sensed that something was off. Uncle Quan was sharp enough to notice the subtle change in his expression and asked, Master Wuji, is everything all right? It's nothing, let's head back, Mu Ly replied. But his instincts were absolutely correct, because at that very moment, they were already being watched. The route back to the Su family villa in the suburbs required them to pass through a sparsely populated, hilly area. Everything had been completely fine on their way there, but on the trip back, Uncle Quan had to slam on the brakes. A massive, uprooted tree was blocking the road. Deeply concerned, Uncle Quan got out of the car to investigate. Mu Ly followed him closely, but just as the man was fully focused on finding a way to move that tree trunk, something suddenly ripped through the air, hurtling straight toward them. Normally, Uncle Tone would have lost his life before he could even register what it was. Fortunately for him, he was with Mu Ly. With a flick of his power, Mu Ly froze the object dead in its tracks. Once Uncle Tone realized it was a bullet, his knees went weak with sheer terror, and he collapsed onto the ground. Mr. Wuji, what is this? Uncle Tone stammered. Mu Ly kept the bullet suspended in midair, looking incredibly smug. To him, this was nothing but a cheap trick, but since his enemies wanted to play dirty, he was more than ready to play along. With that in mind, Mu Ly channeled a bit of his spiritual energy, sending the bullets flying right back where they came from. Even without aiming, he easily redirected the bullets straight toward their shooters. Before the two assassins hiding in the woods could even process what was happening, the bullets tore right through their heads. Meanwhile, Sujiaki, who had been dozing off in the car, woke up to the commotion and stepped out. What is all this noise? What was that sound? Uncle Tone, why are you sitting on the ground? Seeing her step out, Uncle Tone panicked. Young mistress, get back in the car. It is an ambush. Before Uncle Tone could even finish his sentence or Sujiaki could react, a strange scent wafted into her nose. By the time she realized it was some kind of knockout gas, it was already too late. Her body went completely limp, and she collapsed. Uncle Tone was also knocked unconscious by the gas. The only one left standing was Mu Ly. He had anticipated an ambush, but this did not feel like Feng Qi's doing. Determined to find out who was pulling the strings, Mu Ly decided to turn the tables on them with a little game of his own. Leaving Sujiaki lying there, he slipped into the edge of the forest to hide. A moment later, as the gas began to clear, Sujiaki caught a blurry glimpse of several strangers in gas masks approaching her with pistols. In her semi-conscious state, she kept calling out Mu Ly's name, but there was no sign of him. The leader of the masked group did not care about Mu Ly's sudden disappearance. He just ordered his men to quickly take their target, Sujiaki, and go. But right then, the very person they thought had fled in terror materialized right behind them. Who sent you? Where did you come from? Startled by Mu Ly's voice, the group spun around. Realizing they had been lured into a trap, they breathed a sigh of relief when they saw he was completely alone. You little punk, you think you can take on all of us by yourself? Get him, boys. Beat him to a pulp. Spurred on by their leader, the kidnappers rushed Mu Ly all at once. But to him, they were nothing but mere insects. Mu Ly casually plucked a few leaves from a nearby branch. While harmless on their own, in his hands, these delicate leaves turned into deadly, razor-sharp weapons. With a single throw, he easily shattered the enemy's defenses. The leader's eyes nearly popped out of his head in sheer disbelief. Using mere leaves to kill. How could he have been unaware of such a terrifying master in Shanlong City? Mu Ly asked again. I will ask you one last time. Where did you come from? Mu Ly had spared only this last man, intending to extract some information from him. But to his surprise, the man chose to end his own life rather than talk. Knowing he stood no chance against Mu Ly, he bit down on a poison capsule hidden in his tooth. Within seconds, he coughed up blood and collapsed. With his only lead dead, Mu Ly could not help but feel disappointed. But since the guy was already dead, he figured it was best to just head back home for now. He used a fraction of his power to obliterate the tree blocking the main road before returning to Sujaki. He then funneled a bit of his inner energy into her to counteract the drug. He had not planned on waking her up just yet, fearing it would only cause a scene. But right at that moment, Sujaki slowly fluttered her eyes open. She woke up to find Mu Ly staring intently at her, with his finger pressed right against her chest. Her immediate reflex was to bolt upright, shielding her chest with both hands. She then shrieked, "What do you think you are doing, you pervert?" This was exactly the trouble Mu Ly had anticipated, and there was no escaping it. "I am saving your life. What else?" he replied. Sujaki refused to believe him at first, but when she looked around, she saw the masked attackers scattered all over the ground. Sujaki went pale with fright. She was even more terrified to realize they were hired assassins targeting her. Not long after, Uncle Tone regained consciousness as well. Taking in the scene, his reaction was pretty much identical to Sujiaki's. Mu Ly told Uncle Tone to drive them back to the Su estate, mentioning that he had already cleared the fallen tree blocking the road. After returning to the Su family villa, Mu Ly filled Su Wen and Lin Yue in on everything that had happened. Today, instead of encountering Feng Qi, their daughter had run into a completely different group of assassins. This news deeply troubled Master Su. "Are they from the Shisheng Gate, Lin Yue?" He then asked. "I did not think the Shisheng Gate would resort to such cheap tricks, but every single one of those assassins had a leaf tattooed on their wrists." Mu Ly replied, "For now, that is the only clue you have." Hearing about the leaf tattoo, Lin Yue frowned slightly. He faintly recalled hearing about that tattoo before, but he could not quite remember which organization it belonged to. He just never expected that, besides Feng Qi, there were other people plotting against Sujiaki. This made Master Su, as her father, unable to let his guard down. He decided he would not let Sujiaki go out anymore. Indeed, they could not afford to be careless. Mu Ly then seemed to remember something, so he asked Su Wen to find him some high-quality jade bracelets. Although Master Su did not know what he wanted them for, he still arranged for his secretary to quickly find what he needed. The Su family had never been short of gold and jewelry, so it did not take long for her to bring back a box filled with jadeite bracelets. Just one look was enough to tell they were premium quality. Mu Ly took the box, looking extremely satisfied. Could it be that Master Wuji wants to consecrate these jade bracelets to ward off evil spirits? Su Wen asked. Consecrating to ward off evil was just the talk of charlatans in the martial world. No martial artist actually believes in that stuff, Lin Yue replied, making Master Su feel a bit embarrassed. My apologies. I guess my knowledge is quite shallow. That night, Mu Ly took the box back to his room. Actually, Master Su's idea of consecrating them to ward off evil was not entirely wrong. After picking out the best jade pieces, Mu Ly channeled some of his spiritual power into them. Next, he chose a solid jadeite bracelet from the batch, then went over and knocked on Sujiaki's door. She opened the door with an annoyed look on her face, asking, "It is so late. What do you want?" Mu Ly handed her the bracelet and said, "From tomorrow on, keep this on you at all times." There was absolutely nothing wrong with Mu Ly's words, but somehow Sujiaki totally misconstrued them. She immediately covered her chest, her cheeks turning bright red. "Keep it close? What exactly are you trying to do to me?" Mu Ly really had no idea what was going on in her head, but he could not be bothered to argue with this spoiled young miss, letting her play out her little drama. After giving the bracelet to Sujiaki, he took the jewelry box back down to the living room. Lin Yue and Su Wen were still awake, so Mu Ly figured he would show them a little demonstration. He borrowed a pistol from a bodyguard, casually tossed a jade amulet into the air, aimed, and pulled the trigger. The bullet sped through the air, but when it was just inches away from the jade, it hit an invisible barrier and deflected. Watching this unfold, Lin Yue could not help but gasp in amazement. That is absolutely incredible. The jade fell back into Mu Ly's hand, but it immediately shattered into 7 or 8 pieces. Su Wen realized right away that the barrier could only block a single fatal attack. But they also knew that a single block meant saving a life, which was incredibly precious. A treasure like that obviously could not last forever. Actually, that is not it, Mu Ly explained. That was just a prototype, which is why it only worked once. These are the real deal, and each one can be used 4 or 5 times. Naturally, the bracelet Mu Ly gave to Sujiaki was the finest of them all, since she was the main target of their enemies. He distributed the remaining ones to Lin Yue and Su Wen, while telling them to give one to his mother and sister as well, just in case they got dragged in and targeted by the enemies. Su Wen did not dare delay and immediately ordered his men to get on it. The next morning, Sujiachi stared at the jade bracelet Mu Ly had given her for the longest time. Having no idea of its miraculous power, she complained that it was totally out of style and decided not to wear it. When she walked downstairs, she ran right into Master Su, who was sipping tea in the living room. "Where are you going now?" he asked. "Just out," Sujiaki replied stubbornly. This girl was seriously fearless. After what happened just yesterday, she was not scared at all, though Master Su was absolutely terrified. To him, the outside world was currently crawling with bad guys looking to take his daughter's life, so he tried to stop Sujiaki from going out. Mu Ly did not plan on interfering, but seeing that Sujiaki had not worn the bracelet he gave her, he had no choice but to tag along with her. This young miss was definitely gorgeous, but she seemed to be a bit lacking in the brain department. Just yesterday, assassins were literally hunting her down, and her life was on the line. Yet by today, she had already forgotten all about the danger. Not only did she refuse to wear the bracelet Mu Ly gave her, but she was also extremely annoyed that he was sticking to her like glue. Along the way, Sujiaki kept trying to lose him. Having him follow her so closely made her super uncomfortable. After a while, an idea suddenly popped into Sujiaki's head. She claimed she needed to use the restroom. Since guys and girls are different, Mu Ly obviously would not follow her inside, so he obediently waited outside. He knew this girl was up to no good, but he did not expect the little devil Su to actually climb out the window. Yet, the moment Sujiaki climbed out of the restroom window, she found Mu Ly already waiting for her down below. "When did you even get here?" Sujiaki asked in shock, clinging precariously to the air conditioner mounted on the wall. "Don't worry about when I got here. The real issue is that you are totally exposing yourself right now," Mu Ly kindly reminded her. Hearing this, Tujai-Kai's cheeks instantly flushed bright red. Screaming at the top of her lungs, she quickly scrambled right back inside the restroom. Her plan to shake Mu Ly had completely failed, so Tujai-Kai decided to protest by locking herself inside and refusing to come out. But Mu Ly patiently waited outside, without a single hint of annoyance on his face. While waiting for Tujai-Kai to finish her business, Mu Ly suddenly heard someone calling his name. Turning around, he realized the person speaking was Kui Zhao, his classmate from high school. She was the ultimate school goddess back then. Absolutely gorgeous, with a sweet, friendly personality to match. Mu Ly was actually one of her many secret admirers back then. And in his past life, when he was down on his luck, Kui Zhao had even helped him out once. "Long time no see, Kui Zhao," Mu Ly greeted her. Seeing a stranger, Tujai-Kai's curiosity got the best of her, and she peeked out from the restroom door to get the gossip. Kui Zhao noticed her too and asked Mu Ly, "Is this pretty girl your girlfriend? I bet my guess is right, isn't it?" But before Mu Ly could even answer, Tujai-Kai shrieked, "Who would ever want to be his girlfriend?" Then she quickly ducked her head back in. Mu Ly then asked how Kui Zhao was doing, and was glad to hear she was doing well and everything was going great. After all, Kui Zhao had always been perfect, so life had been pretty easy on her. On the other hand, seeing Mu Ly, she was quite surprised by how much he had changed. His whole vibe was completely different from before. "Time changes people," Mu Ly replied. His words made Kui Zhao burst out laughing. "How old are you even? Why are you talking like an old man?" Mu Ly didn't bother to argue. If she knew he had actually lived for 5,000 years, she would probably be scared out of her mind. The two of them caught up for a bit before Kui Zhao suddenly remembered something. Her birthday was in a few days, and she was hosting a party at her place. Since they ran into each other today, Kui Zhao invited Mu Ly on the spot. She promised to text him the time and place. Having no reason to refuse, Mu Ly said he would definitely be there. Kui Zhao nodded. "All right, then I won't ruin your date. I don't want to scare your girlfriend so much that she won't even come out of the restroom." After saying goodbye, Kui Zhao walked away. Watching her go, Mu Ly felt a deep sense of wonder. He never expected that in this lifetime, he would get to meet the people he thought he had long forgotten. Right then, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Mu Ly answered, only to hear Uncle Tone's panicked voice on the other end. He reported that Tujai Kai had stolen the car keys and driven off, even though she didn't even have a driver's license. No worries, leave it to me, Mu Ly reassured him. He had been so caught up talking to Kuai Jiao earlier that he forgot Tujai Kai could easily escape through the restroom window. That girl was truly a major pain in the neck. Meanwhile, Tujai Kai was happily driving away. The feeling of pure freedom was absolutely amazing. But not long after leaving the mall, Tujai Kai heard police sirens wailing right behind her. The police car pulled over and blocked the young lady's car. An officer stepped out, stating they had received a report about someone driving without a license. He then demanded Tujai Kai show her driver's license. She was instantly put on the spot because she didn't have one to show. Just as Tujai Kai was panicking, unsure of what to do, she heard Mu Ly's smug voice. If you don't know how to drive, don't get behind the wheel. Don't give other female drivers a bad name. Mu Ly's sudden appearance instantly made Tujai Kai realize that he was the one who snitched. She screeched, "Damn you, Mu Ly, I'm going to tear you apart." After that, Tujai Kai had to go to the police station to settle her fine. Because of this, the young lady was still furious with Mu Ly even 3 days later. For 3 whole days, Tujai Kai locked herself in her room, refusing to step outside. 3 days later, when Mu Ly came knocking on her door, Tujai Kai's face was still dark. "What do you want? Go away, I don't want to see you." With that, she slammed the door in his face. "Come on out, I need your help with something," Mu Ly said, knocking a few more times. Hearing that Mu Ly actually needed her help, Tujai Kai reluctantly peeked her head out. "What do you want me to do?" At first, Tujai Kai didn't seem interested in helping Mu Ly at all, until he promised that if she did this for him, he would agree to one of her conditions. And Tujai Kai's condition was that Mu Ly could never follow her around ever again. Without a second thought, he agreed right away, though in his heart, he silently laughed at how foolish she was. Even if he wasn't walking right next to her, he could still protect her from the shadows. And the favor Mu Ly wanted from Tujai Kai was for her to accompany him to Kuai Jiao's birthday party. The moment she saw Mu Ly arrive, Kuai Jiao was absolutely thrilled. Standing beside her was her father, Kuai Nyi, who was around the same age as Elder Tu. Kuai Jiao then took the initiative to greet Tujai Kai first. "Hi, I'm Kuai Jiao, Mu Ly's old classmate." "Hi, I'm Tujai Kai, his master," Tujai Kai proudly replied. The word master left Kuai Jiao completely dazed for a few seconds. She then gave Mu Ly a complicated look, probably thinking he had some sort of weird fetish. As for Mo Ly, he was secretly cursing the young heiress Su under his breath. They had literally agreed on their fake identities and how they'd show up together before coming here. "Oh, well, if it isn't the great young master Mo Ly, I never expected a guy like you to actually show up at Jijiao's birthday party." Mo Ly heard a young man's voice. Even though years had passed, he recognized it instantly. It was Wu Ming. In his past life, Mo Ly had suffered plenty of bitter defeats because of this bastard, and he would never forget those humiliating days. The moment Wu Ming saw him, he sneered, "But my, why is the great young master Mo Ly dressed so humbly today? What's the matter? Did you get tired of playing rich, so now you're trying to play poor?" The moment he finished speaking, his lackeys burst into laughter. Sujiaki, standing right next to Mo Ly, didn't know about his past of pretending to be a rich kid. All she knew was that these people insulting him so openly like this made them worse than annoying flies. How could they even call themselves former classmates? "Mo Ly, the flies around here are getting way too noisy. Let's go grab some fresh air outside." Sujiaki spoke up in annoyance, perfectly saving Mo Ly from the awkward situation. As for Wu Ming, the word flies hit him right where it hurt, leaving him incredibly irritated. But that was also when he finally noticed Sujiaki standing there. He burned with jealousy, unable to comprehend how a broke loser like Mo Ly could end up with such a gorgeous woman. They say a beautiful woman is a man's best accessory, and that couldn't be truer. With Sujiaki by his side, Mo Ly managed to outshine everyone else, even in his plain clothes. Not long after, Sun Chengren and his wealthy father, Sun Defu, arrived at the party to offer their congratulations. The moment he walked in, he immediately approached Jijiao, raising a glass to wish her a happy birthday. Even though Jijiao kept a polite smile on her face, she was secretly on guard. She had heard all about Sun Chengren's terrible reputation and knew she needed to keep her distance from him. Just as Sun Chengren raised his glass, he spotted Mo Ly in the crowd. To this day, he still hadn't forgotten how Mo Ly had humiliated him at that maid cafe. and he had sworn to make him pay the next time they crossed paths. While Sun Chengren was busy plotting his revenge, Wu Ming emerged from the crowd to offer him a toast. "Hello, Master Sun. I'm Wu Ming. We've actually met before. I was wondering if I might have the honor of calling you a friend." Wu Ming's face was practically plastered with flattery. Seeing this, a malicious idea immediately popped into Sun Chengren's head. He told Wu Ming that if he wanted to be friends, he first had to do him a small favor, humiliate Mo Ly in front of everyone. Hearing this, Wu Ming felt like he had just struck gold. He had no idea how Mo Ly had offended Master Sun, but if bullying him was all it took to get on Sun Chengren's good side, then this was going to be a piece of cake. A scheme quickly formed in his mind. Meanwhile, Mo Ly and Su Jiaqi were hanging out by the buffet. Looking at her, you would never guess she was a wealthy heiress, with how absolutely unpicky she was with food. She had already devoured several pastries in a row, completely throwing her elegant image out the window. Mo Ly told her to slow down, but she kept stuffing her face as if she had just escaped a famine. "Hey, Mo Ly, come over here for a second." Suddenly, Mo Ly heard Wu Ming calling out to him. Looking over, he even saw him waving quite enthusiastically. Mo Ly knew damn well that this guy had zero good intentions calling him over, but out of sheer curiosity, he wanted to see what kind of game they were playing. So, he strolled on over. Once he got close, he realized Sun Chengren was there too. Before he could even say a word, Sun Chengren suddenly yelled at the top of his lungs, "Hey, what do you think you're doing? Why are you stealing my things?" After screaming that out, he dramatically threw himself onto the floor. Wu Ming caught him and immediately chimed in, raising his voice to a shriek. "Mo Ly, what the hell is wrong with you? First, you steal his stuff, and now you're putting your hands on him? Have you no shame?" Mo Ly was honestly a bit stunned. He couldn't believe these two grown men were actually pulling off such a childish, pathetic frame-up. Thanks to their loud accusations, a crowd quickly gathered to watch the drama unfold. This was exactly what those two jerks wanted. With everyone watching, Wu Ming started playing the victim, loudly announcing how Mo Ly had been a low-life thief back in high school, and clearly, even in college, he hadn't changed a bit. Hearing the commotion, Ji Jiao quickly pushed through the crowd and stood protectively in front of Mo Ly. "Everyone, there must be some mistake. Mo Ly would never do something like this. Miss Ji Jiao, you are far too naive. How could you possibly see through his fake facade? Mo Ly, you literally came to Ji Jiao's birthday party just to steal from Master Sun. How could you disrespect her invitation like this?" Wu Ming yelled louder and louder, doing everything he could to draw a bigger crowd. Meanwhile, Sun Chengren stealthily sneaked up behind Mo Ly. Clutched in his hand was a gold watch, which he slyly pretended to pull out of Mo Ly's pocket before shouting out once again, "Look, everyone, this is my watch. Why on earth was it in his pocket? Mo Ly is undeniably a thief. Do you two seriously think I'm brain dead? Or are you just treating everyone else here like complete idiots?" Mo Ly scoffed, then waved his hand, pushing Sun Chengren to the ground. Seeing this, Sun Dafu rushed over in a panic and shouted at the top of his lungs, "How dare you hit my son? After all, we of the Sun family are distinguished guests here." Realizing things were getting out of hand, Ji Yi rushed over to support Sun Chengren and demanded that Mo Ly apologize to him. Sun Dafu pushed it even further, refusing to let his son suffer such humiliation. He demanded that Mo Ly get down on his knees and apologize, threatening to throw him in jail for stealing his son's watch, which was worth hundreds of thousands. It is just a watch worth hundreds of thousands. Is all this drama really necessary? Su Jiaqi finally lost her patience and stepped into the chaotic crowd. The moment Sun Chengren saw her, his face turned pale. He had no idea Su Jiaqi would be at this party. The watch is literally in your hand, yet you have the nerve to call someone else a thief. Sun Chengren, do you want us to sue you for slander? Su Jiaqi threatened with her hands on her hips, then turned to Mo Ly and grumbled, "Why are you wasting your breath on someone like him? Now I had to step in. You are totally ruining my cake-eating time. You little brat. Who do you think you are, acting so arrogant here?" This time, it was Ji Yi who barked back. He had no clue who Su Jiaqi was, as his only focus was getting his daughter close to wealthy heirs like Sun Chengren. "It is only natural that you do not recognize me. Do you seriously think just anyone is worthy of meeting me?" Su Jiaqi shot back with her usual pride. But to her surprise, not only did Ji Yi fail to recognize her, but Sun Dafu did not have a clue who she was either. He even called the guards to throw her out. Wherever Su Jiaqi went, she was always welcomed with open arms, and she had never been kicked out like this in her entire life. This feeling was actually kind of refreshing. The Ji family guards quickly surrounded Su Jiaqi. Mu Ly pulled her behind his back. He wanted to see who would dare lay a single finger on Su Jiaqi while he was standing right here. It was also because Master Su usually shielded his daughter so well from the public eye that outsiders rarely had a chance to meet her. And now, nobody recognized the eldest daughter of the Su family. Sun Chengren obviously knew she was the daughter of the Su family, but seeing that no one else recognized her, he pretended to be ignorant and ordered the guards to rush in and beat them up. However, as the guards rushed close, they suddenly felt a strange energy circulating around Mu Ly. What is going on? Is he a martial artist? Sun Chengren gasped in shock. Mu Ly wasted no time answering with his actions. As the swirling energy settled, countless figures of Mu Ly appeared right before their eyes. It was impossible to tell if they were illusions or clones. But regardless of what they were, the guards were quickly wiped out by him. Standing in the distance, Su Jiaqi grew incredibly excited at the sight, loudly cheering for Mu Ly to teach that old man's son a lesson too, simply because he had failed to recognize her. Witnessing this, Sun Dafu was already breaking out in a cold sweat, yet he still refused to back down. I am the chairman of the Sun Group. Even if you are a martial artist, you cannot possibly. Before the old man could finish his sentence, a loud slap rang through the air, cutting him off. Showing zero respect for his age, Mu Ly slapped Sun Dafu so hard that he passed out instantly. Sun Chengren watched his father get beaten right before his eyes, but he was completely helpless. He could do nothing but bluster and threaten Mu Ly, which, of course, had absolutely no effect. Listen closely, Mu Ly said. Just because I stay quiet does not mean I am weak and easy to bully, and it certainly does not give you the right to insult me. Mu Ly, you are just a mere martial artist. Do not get too cocky. Suddenly, remembering someone he had not dealt with yet, Mu Ly charged forward. With one hand grabbing Sun Chengren's head and the other grabbing Wu Ming's, he slammed them violently together. The impact made them see stars, knocking both of them out instantly. Seeing his daughter's birthday party turn into an absolute mess, Ji Yi was in a total panic. He kept pressuring Mu Ly to properly apologize to Sun Dafu, even claiming that he would help ask for forgiveness on Ji Zhao's behalf. Clearly, the one who understood the situation the least was Ji Yi. Standing nearby, Ji Zhao tried to explain, but she was completely brushed off by him. Right in the midst of the chaos, Su Wen appeared with his men. The guests were absolutely shocked to see him at a birthday party for a young girl like Ji Zhao. Upon entering the banquet hall, Su Wen walked straight up to Mu Ly, clasped his hands respectfully, and said, "Mr. Wuji, please forgive my late arrival. What on earth happened here?" Ji Yi could not hide his utter amazement at the way Su Wen treated Mu Ly. Although he still did not know who this boy really was, he knew exactly which way the wind was blowing now. Waking up to see Su Wen towering over him, Sun Dafu was frightened out of his wits, and he panicked even more when Master Su spoke up. "Chairman Sun, I hope you can show me some respect regarding today's matter. After all, my daughter and her friends were just having some harmless fun with your son. There is no need to blow this out of proportion, right?" To Sun Dafu, these words sounded like a sudden bolt of thunder out of the blue. The girl that old man just ordered security to throw out turned out to be Su Wen's daughter. And to make matters worse, Mu Ly is actually their highly honored guest. Swallowing his pride, Sun Dafu immediately dropped to his knees in front of Mu Ly, begging for forgiveness for being too blind to recognize greatness. But Mu Ly had absolutely no intention of associating with trash like him, so he coldly told the old man to get the hell away from him. Now that the truth was out, it was clear that Mu Ly wasn't a thief. The whole thing was just the son, father, and son playing victim to cover up their own crimes. What's more, after seeing how young Mu Ly was and how much the powerful Su family respected him, all the girls in the banquet hall found him incredibly charming and rushed over, desperately competing to get close to him. Just as Mu Ly was getting overwhelmed by the crowd of women, he suddenly heard Lin Yue calling out his name. "Mr. Wuji, the representatives from the Martial Alliance want to meet you." Mu Ly silently thanked him for rescuing him from the crowd. However, this was the first time he had ever heard of the Martial Alliance. According to Lin Yue, they were the elite alliance of Huaxia martial artists. Operating under direct orders from the country's highest leadership, they were solely responsible for handling all matters concerning Huaxia martial artists. Their visit this time was also connected to the group that had ambushed Su Jiaqi a few days ago. Lin Yue led him to a private room. Opening the door, he saw about 5 or 6 people inside. The only one sitting on the sofa also happened to be the strongest person there. Bai Shishan was the leader of the 2nd Division branch of the Martial Alliance in Longshan City. Is he really Wuji? He's so young, yet he actually dares to challenge Feng Qi. Standing next to Bai Shishan was a slightly younger man. His arrogant attitude made it obvious he looked down on Mu Ly, which immediately earned him Mu Ly's annoyance. "Just tell me what you want. Don't beat around the bush," Mu Ly said impatiently. "We received word that Su Wen's daughter was being hunted down. We also heard that you, young brother, are responsible for protecting Su Jiaqi, so we just wanted to come by and say hello," Bai Shishan replied. Mu Ly just gave a flat, "Oh," and turned to leave. "If we're done introducing ourselves, I'll be on my way." To the others, this dismissive attitude was a blatant insult to Bai Shishan. This instantly threw the arrogant young man into a blazing rage. If team leader Bai hadn't spoken up to stop him, a violent fight would have broken out right then and there. Bai Shishan then shared a crucial piece of information. The assassins who chased Su Jiaqi the other day were from the Hehuan sect. He also warned Mu Ly that the Hehuan sect was incredibly powerful, advising him not to try fighting them alone. He even promised to have the Martial Alliance secretly guard Su Jiaqi. "Fine by me," Mu Ly muttered before walking out of the room. "Leader, that brat is way too arrogant. We should have taught him a lesson," the young man barked, throwing a tantrum like someone had just stepped on his tail. "He's going to end up dead sooner or later anyway, so why waste your breath getting angry?" Bai Shishan said with a cold smirk. A kid like him stands absolutely no chance against Feng Qi. After leaving the room, Mu Ly headed back to the banquet hall to find Ji Jiao. Things had been so chaotic earlier that he hadn't even had a chance to give her his birthday present. Ji Jiao accepted the box from Mu Ly. Inside, a beautiful piece of jade glistened with a soft glow. "Mu Ly, this is way too valuable. I can't accept this. Whether it's valuable or not doesn't matter. Just make sure to keep it on you at all times. In an emergency, it will keep you safe." Mu Ly said this because he had already infused this jade with the exact same protective spell as the bracelet he gave Su Jiaqi. "All right, I'll take it then." However, their intimate conversation didn't go unnoticed. Su Jiaqi was watching them from a distance. She kept pouting in annoyance, though it was hard to tell if she was jealous or just mad that Mu Ly was using her family's jade to flirt with another girl. After the birthday party ended, a masquerade ball was set to begin. Out of respect for Ji Jiao, Mu Ly agreed to stay. While everyone else wore simple masquerade masks, Su Jiaqi somehow managed to find a giant rabbit costume that covered her completely from head to toe. She didn't look like a prestigious young lady at all. After waiting a bit longer, Ji Jiao finally made her grand entrance. She wore a stunning dress with a pair of delicate wings on her back, looking just like a beautiful little fairy. Mu Ly was completely mesmerized. She truly deserved to be the girl he had been secretly in love with for his entire past life. In this lifetime, Ji Jiao was still just as breathtakingly beautiful. "Mu Ly, let's dance together," Ji Jiao suggested. Mu Ly initially wanted to decline since he didn't know how to dance, but Ji Jiao enthusiastically offered to teach him. So, the two of them happily walked hand in hand onto the dance floor. But just as they were getting lost in the music, all the lights in the room suddenly went pitch black. He thought it was some kind of surprise event, but instead, what shattered the silence was a terrifying shriek from Su Jiaqi. "Who are you people? Let me go." "Mu Ly, help me." Mu Ly immediately rushed to her rescue, leaving Ji Jiao behind. But the moment he left, two shady men approached Ji Jiao, trying to kidnap her and scaring her half to death. However, the very second they reached out to grab her, the jade pendant around Ji Jiao's neck, the one Mu Ly had just given her, suddenly burst with a blinding light. An impenetrable barrier instantly formed around her. Realizing they were completely outmatched, the two thugs immediately turned tail and fled. Their attempt to kidnap Ji Jiao had failed miserably, but they still managed to make off with Su Jiaqi as their prize. The mastermind behind this was none other than Hong Daoba, a hall master of the Hehuan sect. Just as the kidnappers were about to slip away, they were spotted by Bai Shishan. It seemed these two sides shared a deep, long-standing blood feud. Both sides wanted nothing more than to completely wipe each other out. But right in the middle of their tense standoff, Mu Ly slowly walked up. "I don't care about your petty grudges, but right now, you either hand over Su Jiaqi, or I will teach you all some manners." Bai Shishan had only just said goodbye to Mu Ly a short while ago, yet here they were, crossing paths again under these circumstances. However, since he had a personal score to settle with Hong Daoba, he wanted to handle it himself, and told Mu Ly to stand aside. "Fine, I will give you exactly 1 minute," Mu Ly replied. He then crossed his arms and stepped to the side, looking completely impatient. The moment the words left his mouth, Bai Shishan gathered energy in his palms and charged straight at Hong Daoba, aiming to strike first. But the enemy easily deflected his attack. The two seemed evenly matched, trading over a dozen blows in a fierce clash, without either gaining the upper hand. That was, until Hong Daoba suddenly pulled a dagger from behind his back, plunging it deep into Bai Shishan's left chest. As an honorable martial artist, Chief Bai never expected his opponent to play so dirty. But weapons have no eyes, and the grim reality was that he had been stabbed. Hong Daoba was just about to deliver a finishing blow when Mu Ly sent him flying with a single kick. 1 minute is up, Mu Ly said, having no interest in watching them catch up on old times. Seeing Hong Daoba left battered and bruised after just one move from Mu Ly, Bai Shishan could only gape in utter shock. Just moments ago, he had looked down on the kid, thinking Mu Ly would end up dead sooner or later. But now, he finally realized the kid's power far surpassed his own. Hong Daoba scrambled to his feet, glaring at Mu Ly through gritted teeth. Who the hell is this guy? So annoying. With that, he tossed a mysterious pill into his mouth. Instantly, Hong Daoba's body began to mutate, just like the Incredible Hulk. In the blink of an eye, he grew massive and incredibly powerful. Smug and arrogant, he sneered. You really don't know your own limits. Now that I've taken the power-boosting pill from the ancestor, you're all nothing but annoying flies to me. But before he could even finish his sentence, Mu Ly vanished into thin air. By the time he reappeared, he was standing right in front of him. Caught completely off guard, Hong Daoba was slammed into the ground by a brutal punch from Mu Ly. No matter what kind of power-boosting pill he took, it was completely useless, since he didn't even have a chance to fight back. Watching this unfold, Bai Shishan felt goosebumps break out all over his body in sheer terror. Mu Ly was way more terrifying than any monster. How had he never heard of such a formidable master before? Little did he know, while Mu Ly was busy fighting, the young lady Sujiaki had already been tied up and thrown into a car. As she slowly regained consciousness, she realized with dread that she was in a terrible situation. The car pulled over in a deserted area. The shameless Qing Tian drooled over the gorgeous girl sitting next to him. Damn, this little beauty is absolutely mouth-watering. I can barely hold myself back. His advances made Jiaki scream in horror, but just as he puckered up to plant a kiss on her, Wenchang cut in. What's the rush? She belongs to the ancestor. Once he's done with her, then it'll be our turn to have some fun. Helplessly, tears streamed down Jiaki's face as she thought, Damn you, Mu Ly, you jerk, where on earth are you? Suddenly, a strange surge of energy shot right past the car. What was that just now? Qing Tian wondered aloud. Wenchang mocked him. Are you so horny that you're losing your mind? There's nothing out there. But Jiaki recognized that blue glow. She felt like she had seen it somewhere before. It turned out Mu Ly had arrived. Using his powers, he instantly lifted the car high into the air before slamming it back down, scaring the absolute crap out of everyone inside. Wenchang found this annoying party crasher an eyesore. He kicked the door open and pulled out a gun to teach Mu Ly a lesson. Unleashing a hail of bullets, he roared, I'm going to blow you to pieces. But Mu Ly was faster than the bullets themselves, dodging them effortlessly. Seeing this, Wenchang tried to threaten him. Don't forget, we still have the girl. He then yanked the semi-conscious Jiaki out of the car. Holding her hostage, he threatened, Stay back, or we'll throw her into the ocean to feed the sharks. Mu Ly coldly challenged him. I dare you. Wenchang wasn't just all talk. You think I won't? He barked, and without hesitation, he threw Jiaki straight into the sea. Well, then it was time for Mu Ly to teach him a lesson. He leaped up and delivered a crushing blow to the back of Wenchang's neck. As the thug stumbled and knocked out cold, Mu Ly didn't hesitate for a second and dove straight down to save Jiaki. Luckily, he managed to catch her before she hit the water. Mu Ly channeled his energy and pulled Jiaki tight against his chest. In her hazy state, she felt a profound warmth and comfort wrapped in his arms. Jiaki was finally rescued and brought back safely to the Su family residence. Mu Ly then asked Su Wen if he had uncovered any new leads. Su Wen revealed that all the assassins, including Hong Daoba, had taken poison to silence themselves. While he was lost in thought, thinking that the trail had gone cold once again, Jiaki suddenly woke up and asked him to come over for a moment. Doing as she asked, Mu Ly walked over to check on her. Are you feeling any better? To his surprise, Jiaki angrily clenched her fists, lunged at him, and screamed in frustration. You jerk, Mu Ly, I am going to kill you. You liar, you do not keep your promises at all. You said you would protect me. Su Wen scolded Jiaki. Watch your manners. If it was not for Master Wuji, you would have been in deep trouble a long time ago. Unlike his usual self, Mu Ly gently took the blame. I am sorry. It is my fault. Next time, I will definitely protect you. Jiaki was completely frozen in shock. What is up with this blockhead today? He politely asked. Now, can you get off me? Blushing, she quickly got off him and sat as quiet as a puppy. Suddenly, Su Wen cleared his throat. Master Wuji, the old master wants to see you. In the living room of the Su mansion, right in front of Mu Ly, Qingren and his father bowed deeply to apologize. Master Wuji, about last time, we were blind and foolish. Since you are generous enough to overlook our ignorance, please accept this small token of our gratitude. He glanced at the bank check worth $10 million and calmly replied, Leave it there. If you ever dare to go near my sister again, I will show no mercy. Qingren cowered. We would not dare, we would not dare. Mu Ly thought to himself. It seems Fengshi is starting to make his move now. Glancing out the window, Mu Ly decided to head to an internet cafe to dig up some more information. As he clicked onto the global black market website, he thought to himself, with Fengshi back, it looks like the storm is about to begin. Sure enough, Fengshi had already announced his return from overseas. His next target was the Su family's prized gem, Jiaki. In the comments, people were buzzing, pitying the beautiful girl and saying that beauty is a curse. In this tiny Longshan, who can stop Fengshi if he wants someone dead? But wait, isn't there still Master Wuji? Taking home a $20 million bounty means he has some real skills, Wuji? So what if some rookie has a bit of skill? Have you forgotten what kind of monster Fengshi is? Even if Wuji is actually strong, is he really any match for Fengshi? Mu Ly thought about it for a moment, then logged into his Wuji account and posted, Who the hell is Fengshi anyway? I, Wuji, have trained in martial arts since childhood and am a once-in-a-millennium prodigy. Fengshi is just a butcher. He is nothing to me. Today, I, Wuji, am hosting a bet. Bet on me to win and get 10-1. Bet on Fengshi and get 1-1. My starting pool is 10 million. Are you betting on Wuji or Fengshi? The news quickly reached the Su family. Master Wuji actually set up a betting ring on the forum. Lin Yue confirmed to Su Wen. Yes, it even riled up Fengshi, who put $10 million on himself. Hearing this, he ordered his men to put another $20 million on Master Wuji. At a scenic spot, Jiaki was whining, I do not care. I want to go out and play. Suddenly, the phone in Mu Ly's hand vibrated. On his phone, a notification popped up from a user named Heavenly Puppet, who had just bet $200,000 on Fengshi, leaving a comment. Go Fengshi, crush that Wuji. Then, another user named Mighty Cucumber bet $100,000 on Fengshi with a comment. Go Fengshi, teach that stupid Wuji a lesson. However, those numbers were just pocket change compared to when the Su Corporation placed a successful $20 million bet on Wuji. Mu Ly burst out laughing when he saw it. Seeing him ignore her, Jiaki frowned in annoyance. Mu Ly, how dare you ignore what I am saying? Just as she was about to teach him a lesson, he threw his hands up in surrender. I am listening, I am listening. But Mu Ly seemed to be waiting for something, asking himself anxiously, is he here yet? Seeing him ignore her again, Jiaki asked, What are you looking at anyway? Are you coming with me or what? She skipped around the garden, singing happily. I want to find the Romeo who saved me last time. Even though I could not see his face, his embrace was so warm. And he could even fly. He is seriously out of this world, handsome. But Mu Ly's expression turned serious as he grabbed Jiaki's hand, pulled her inside, and spoke. Get inside. I can feel a murderous aura approaching. Fengshi is definitely around here. She kept rambling. What are you, crazy? If the hero who saved me last time were here, he would blow you away with one punch. Mu Ly gently slipped a jade bracelet onto Jiaki's wrist, but she whined. It is so ugly. I am not wearing it. Mu Ly had to use his sheer presence to overwhelm the young mistress. You must wear it. Promise me. Stop being so stubborn, okay? This is for your protection. Blushing from being so close to him, she mumbled, Okay, fine. 4 hours later, while Jiaki lay there singing, Love is a ray of light, so magical it makes you panic, guiding us to our future. Mu Ly had to stand guard tirelessly. He wondered why the guy had not made a move yet, not expecting him to be so cautious. Is it because I am right next to her? Let me give him a hand. He immediately called out, Jiaki, I see a little white rabbit over there. The innocent girl jumped up and asked, Really? Where is it? Mu Ly said, It is by the flower bed outside. It should still be there. Unable to contain her excitement, she rushed out to find the white rabbit. Jiaki ran 49 laps around the yard, calling out, Little bunny, come on out. I have a carrot for you. But Fengxi still had not taken the bait. Suddenly, a strange gust of wind blew past. Sensing that something was off, Jia Kai followed his gaze to see what was going down. Mok Ly could already sense that his prey had started to make a move. He easily deflected the assassin's opening strike. But when that guy Fong Thick unleashed his second strike, screaming for him to go to hell, Mok Ly finally realized he was the actual target. Fong Thick unleashed his move, charging forward with Han Quang Thick. But before he could even land a scratch, Mok Ly punched him right in the jaw. He tumbled across the ground 3 or 4 times before cursing under his breath. Damn it, a failed ambush is going to be tough to handle. On the other side, Mok Ly gave him a sarcastic compliment. Nice ambush, but your skills are still way below my level. Fong Thick pulled a grenade from his pocket, muttering to himself, I have to use a smoke bomb. After a loud blast and a cloud of thick smoke, he thought he could easily slip away. But to his absolute shock, Mok Ly was hot on his heels, leaving Fong Thick totally panicked. He thought, how is this even possible? His opponent was just a regular martial artist, so how could he possibly move this fast? Even more surprising, as Mok Ly prepared to capture him alive with just a few basic moves, Fong Thick was forced to play his last card, saying, you forced my hand. But by the time Mok Ly touched the ground, the guy had already vanished. Mok Ly stared at the lake in front of him and muttered, fast escape, huh? 30 minutes later, Fong Thick was practically ready to sleep at the bottom of the lake. He probably thought he had successfully escaped, but if he stayed down there for just a few more minutes, he would definitely drown. But the moment he broke the surface, he was greeted with a compliment. Not bad, holding your breath for that long. You must have gone through some intense training, big brother. Seeing Mok Ly still waiting for him, he gasped. What? The next day, the entire internet cafe was in absolute chaos. The guy who bet on Fong Thick screamed, how is this possible? My entire life savings, gone. Passersby whispered, another loser going crazy over gambling. Just ignore him, let us go. On the latest newsfeed, the Era Forum posted a short update. On the night of April 23, 2031, Fong Thick failed his assassination, and Vo Kook emerged victorious. Before that, on October 20th, 2022, Fong Thick successfully assassinated top martial artist Truong Jia, making a name for himself overnight. On October 20th, 2023, Fong Thick successfully assassinated a disciple of the Du family, receiving a reward of 10 million. On October 20th, 2024, Fong Thick successfully assassinated a top-tier martial artist of the Enjo family, earning a reward of 30 million. On April 23, 2031, Fong Thick was no match for Vo Kook. Slain by Vo Kook, his body was pulled from the Longmian River. The readers were completely blown away by this rising star. Fong Thick, you absolute trash. You ruined my youth, my sanity, and my money. I am calling it now. Did this Vo Kook guy deliberately trick us by paying off Fong Thick? If that is true, did he not make a massive fortune? That is incredibly devious. The guy who bet on Fong Thick tore his hair out, thinking that if this was true, then Vo Kook was indeed way too cunning. Flashback to the previous night, Fong Thick was stunned by Mok Ly's prowess, gasping, you can actually walk on water? Deep down, he was frantically thinking, how can I possibly win against this? Mok Ly calmly praised him, you did a pretty good job concealing your energy signature. Fong Thick quickly shifted his tone. Want to learn it? Pull me up first. This river water is freezing. Mok Ly agreed to pull him up, but when he had only lifted him halfway, a wicked grin spread across Fong Thick's face. He slipped a dagger out of his sleeve, gripped it tightly, and lunged at Mok Ly, screaming, die. He never expected Mok Ly to block his strike with just a single finger, who casually murmured, you want to kill me? You are not even close to my level. Realizing he was completely outmatched, Fong Thick stomped and leaped high into the air, furiously screaming in his head, how is this possible? But with a swift flick of his wrist, Mok Ly threw the dagger, taking down Fong Thick in a single blow, and his body splashed right back into the water. As Mok Ly coldly walked away, his phone buzzed with a notification. He checked it and saw a text from Mok Han. When are you coming home, brother? Mom says she misses you. After reading it, Mok Ly simply smiled and thought to himself, just wait for me. I will not let my family suffer anymore. On the subway that morning, staring at the black card in his hand, he made up his mind to return home with his head held high. This was the card Jia Ki had handed him, saying, Mok Ly, here is the money you won on the forum, a cool 500 million. When you go home this time, make sure to come back quickly. You still have to help me find that great hero from last time. He could not help but chuckle. If she ever finds out that great hero is me, actually, let us not go there. She would definitely pester me to death. A moment later, the intercom buzzed, announcing that they had reached the final stop. Noticing the girl next to him was still fast asleep, he gently shook her and called out, "Hey, wake up. We are at the last stop. Everyone has already left." Outside the station, a group of thugs waiting nearby were whispering, "Have we still not found that girl from the Du family? Still no sign of her." The leader snapped, "What a bunch of useless trash. I always have to handle things myself." They walked right up to Mok Ly, and the fierce-looking leader smirked. "Did we not just find her?" he said in a cold tone. "Du Hu Dong, we meet again. Hand over the resurrection elixir created by the medicine master, and we might just spare your life." The girl, Hu Dong, turned to Mok Ly and said, "Just go. It is too dangerous here." Completely ignored, No Hong barked, "How dare you whisper right in front of me?" Hu Dong quickly grabbed Mok Ly's hand and bolted. Ngo Hong declared, "None of you are escaping today. Get them, all of you. That brat might be carrying the resurrection elixir." Hu Dong told him, "I will hold Enjo Hong off. Take advantage of the chaos and run. I just do not want an innocent person losing their life because of me." Ngo Hong caught up, releasing a terrifying claw-like aura as he warned, "You had better worry about your own damn life first." She instinctively pushed Mok Ly aside, pulled out her protective shield, and snapped, "I will not let you get away with this." However, faced with his overwhelming power, she was still slightly outmatched. Seeing Hu Dong's shield shatter, he became even more arrogant, sneering, "The little genius of the Du family lives up to her reputation, huh? Too bad for you. Crossing paths with me means only death." Showing absolutely no mercy, he ruthlessly punched her straight in the stomach. Mok Ly witnessed everything but had remained completely silent until now. Ngo Hong snatched the potion from her and mocked, "They say this resurrection elixir can bring back the dead. Too bad your old man will not live long enough to use it." Defeated by Ngo Hong's strength, Hu Dong blamed herself, crying in her mind, "Grandpa, I am sorry. Hu Dong is so useless." Meanwhile, he arrogantly barked at Mok Ly, "Hey kid, did I say you could leave?" Hu Dong desperately tried to warn him, "Run, quickly. Ngo Hong's eagle claw fist is not something an ordinary person like you can survive." Unfortunately, Mok Ly was also blocked by No Hong's lackeys, who yelled, "Trying to run? Die!" But he easily blew them away, without even getting his hands dirty. He even sneered in contempt, "Nothing but a bunch of annoying flies." Ngo Hong, witnessing him easily taking down 4 or 5 of his henchmen at once, was shocked. He decided to personally step in and teach the kid a lesson. But Mok Ly only needed a single punch to completely destroy No Hong, sending him flying from one end of the train to the other with a devastating strike. Accompanied by the loud shattering of glass, Ngo Hong was severely injured, blood pouring from his mouth. He then stammered, You are a martial venerable? In this entire Kim Ho province, there is only one martial venerable, Long Sun Luvo Sin. But at this age, could you be Hoang Fu Van, who is about to break through to the martial venerable realm?" Mok Ly only coldly replied, "Never heard of them." He then asked Hu Dong, "Hey, are you all right?" She nodded, "I am fine." Ngo Hong immediately returned the resurrection elixir and scrambled to apologize. "I was blind to your greatness. Please, forgive me." Once things settled, she asked, "This resurrection elixir is very important to me. Can you give it back to me?" Handing it back, he remarked, "If this thing is so precious to you, why keep it in such a fragile glass vial? What if it breaks? Knock on wood." The vial slipped from their hands, crashing to the ground and shattering into pieces. Both of them stared down in absolute horror. Devastated, Hu Dong clung tightly to Mok Ly's leg, demanding that he replace the resurrection elixir. She thought to herself, "Since things have come to this, I have no choice but to use my feminine charms to seduce him, and my gorgeous face is the ultimate weapon." Acting on her plan, Hu Dong quickly masked her emotions, putting on a weak and flustered act, saying, "What do I do now? The resurrection elixir was the only thing that could save my grandfather." Mok Ly generously agreed, "Do not worry. I will compensate you by saving your grandfather myself." Seizing the opportunity, Hu Dong grabbed his arm and cheered, "That is great. Thank you so much." In her head, she cheered, "My brother was right. I managed to grab onto a lifesaver. But let us see who is really playing who here." Because Mok Ly also glanced at her and thought, "She looks way too confident." They left the station and saw someone waiting, shouting, "Hu Dong, over here." That was Du Hu Hung, 27 years old, Hu Dong's older brother. He was curious about the guy walking with his sister, but Hu Dong awkwardly replied, "Brother, let us talk on the way." No one said a word, making the atmosphere inside the car extremely awkward. So Hu Hung broke the silence. "Did you get the resurrection elixir?" Knowing she could not hide it anymore, Hu Dong stammered. "Well, it is a long story." Hu Hung gasped in utter shock. "What? The resurrection elixir is broken?" The BMW swerved violently, making Hu Dong scream, "Brother, watch where you are driving." A moment later, they arrived at the Du family residence. Just then, two of the top doctors shook their heads and told the siblings, "Master Du is really not going to make it." Hearing this, Hu Dong burst into tears and ran into the house. Outside, Hu Hung buried his face in his hands, agonizing, "What do we do now? The resurrection elixir is broken." Unable to accept this, Hu Dong rushed into the room, pushed the door open, and cried out, "Grandpa!" Seeing her return, Du Feng was overjoyed. "Wonderful, Hu Dong is back." "Hu Dong, I heard your brother mention the resurrection elixir on the phone." But when she tearfully apologized, second Uncle Du Feng's younger brother, chimed in coldly, "I told you not to let Hu Dong go on some top-secret mission to the imperial capital alone to fetch the medicine. Now that the medicine is gone, how are we supposed to save your grandfather?" Ignoring his harsh words, Hu Dong said, "Dad, actually, I found a master. Who knows, he might still be able to save grandfather." Hearing this, Yu Feng gasped in relief. "That is wonderful. Hurry, take us to meet this master." She pointed toward the door and introduced him none other than Master Mu, though Mu Ly currently looked like a total punk kid. Second uncle burst out laughing. "You Xiaotong, are you out of your mind? You just dragged some random brat off the street to cure grandfather? Yu Feng, are you treating the old patriarch's life like a joke? If anything happens, can you take responsibility?" He also felt this young man did not look very reliable. Why would Xiaotong do something like this? Without saying a word, Mu Ly walked up to the sickbed and used a unique technique to examine the old man's condition, leaving everyone in the room completely stunned. He concluded that internal injuries had blocked his meridians, disrupting his energy flow. Second uncle snarled, "Who gave you permission to touch my father?" But instant karma hit him hard. He was slammed right into the wall and knocked out cold on the spot. Everyone in the room was horrified. Second, Uncle Yu was the strongest martial artist in the Yu family, so this young man was clearly no ordinary person. Yu Feng clasped his hands in respect, agreeing to let him proceed. "May I ask, Master Mu, how should the old patriarch's illness be treated?" This was met with fierce opposition from physician Zhengba. "This is absolutely ridiculous. I have never seen anyone diagnose a pulse with just empty words. If you have chosen another physician, I am leaving. Let me warn you beforehand, the old patriarch's illness has already seeped into his bones. Even the resurrection elixir cannot turn things around now." These words made Yu Feng fall into deep thought, unsure if he should trust this young man. Xiaotong also expressed her concern. "Master Mu, is my grandfather really beyond saving?" He replied, "It is just a minor internal injury." Hearing that, she let out a sigh of relief, but then Mu Ly added that all it took was a good beating. Hearing this, they gasped. "What did you say?" Yu Feng was puzzled. "A beating? Master Mu, how has our Yu family offended you?" Xiaotong did not quite understand Mu Ly's meaning either, so he explained that this was the simplest method. While he was busy treating the old man, second uncle woke up. He rushed over, yelling, "You brat, how dare you hit me, without my permission." Before he could even finish, he ate another kick from Mu Ly. The sheer force made him wonder, what kind of power is this? Mu Ly said nothing. He quietly pulled off the old man's blanket, and then the sound of heavy punches and kicks echoed throughout the house. Xiaotong watched her grandfather being treated in such a bizarre way, and her heart ached. "Grandpa, I am sorry. Could I have misjudged him?" Mu Ly continued to unleash his palm strikes on the old patriarch. He kept striking him from one spot to another. Everyone found this method bizarre, but no one dared to interfere. Then, the most miserable old man in the world was tossed back onto the bed with a thud. Mu Ly did not stop there. He flipped the patriarch over and went for another round of treatment. Finally, Mu Ly finished the treatment. Seeing the old man lying completely still, second uncle started ranting again. "Yu Feng, oh Yu Feng, you have killed the old patriarch. This is an unpardonable crime. Hand over the position of family head immediately." To his surprise, Xiaotong called out, "He is awake. Grandfather is really awake." The old man sat up, coughing a few times. Second uncle asked, "Dad, how do you feel?" The old man replied, "I feel great. I have never felt this refreshed. My internal injuries are completely healed. I am perfectly fine now." Mu Ly then bid his farewell. "Your meridians are cleared, and your cultivation level has progressed. Since everything is fine, I will take my leave." To repay this deep debt of gratitude, Yu Feng said, "Master Mu, having you save us is a great honor for our Yu family. In the future, if you need anything, our Yu family will do whatever it takes." He thought for a moment and said, "Oh, right. Do you have any aged herbs? Preferably something that is 100 years old?" Yu Feng replied, 100-year-old herbs are extremely rare. Finding them is like looking for a needle in a haystack. When the old patriarch was bedridden before, we used them all up. But since Master Mu is asking, we will do our best to search for them." He excused himself, saying he had personal business to attend to. Yu Feng told Master Mu to take care, saying they would keep in touch. "Hello, driver. Make sure you take Master Mu home safely." After this incident, Xiao Tong developed a deep admiration for Mu Ly. Finally, he could return home. Sitting in the car, Mu Ly thought to himself, "In my past life, Mother worked hard for me her entire life, only to be schemed against and killed in the end. In this life, I will definitely make sure you live in a grand house, in absolute happiness and peace." Mu Xin was taking out the trash when she heard someone call her name. Seeing her brother return, she cheered joyfully, "Brother, brother, you are finally back." In their small house, it had been a long time since the three of them had enjoyed a meal together. Chen Yuan placed food into her son's bowl and said, "Xiao Li, eat more. You are still growing. Xiao Li, when you are out there on your own, if you run out of money, just tell me. Don't try to act tough." He said nothing, only staring at the burn scar on his mother's hand. That was a day from over 10 years ago. 8-year-old Mu Ly was helping his mother cook dinner. He looked at the mouth-watering pot of soup and said, "It is finally done. Now we just need to bring it out." But Mu Ly was still too small, so he could not lift the heavy soup pot. It was that severe. Right at that moment, even though Tran Vien was running a high fever, she still forced herself to stand up, blaming herself for accidentally falling asleep. She thought she had to get dinner started. But the moment she walked into the kitchen, she saw her son clumsily struggling with a pot of boiling hot soup, about to fall over. Panicked and terrified, she screamed, "Little Ly, watch out, you are about to fall with that soup." She rushed over as fast as she could to catch him, but it was too late. After a sharp scream, Mok Ly's pot of soup flew out of his hands and spilled all over the floor. Tran Vien did not blame her son at all. Instead, she asked him with deep concern, "Little Ly, are you hurt anywhere?" Mok Ly choked back tears and replied, "Mom, I am fine, but your hand." Only then did Tran Vien notice her own arm, which had blistered up from shielding her son. She comforted him, saying, "It is nothing. I will just soak it in some cold water in a bit, and it will be fine." Snapping back to reality, Mok Ly washed the dishes while beating himself up. "I am so sorry, Mom. I always end up getting you hurt. I am so sorry for being such a useless loser in my past life. I am sorry that I did not have any power at all to protect you." So this time, he gathered the courage to apologize to his mother. But Tran Vien only smiled gently and asked, "What is this silly child talking about?" Mok Ly then told her, "Mom, I made some money. Tomorrow, I will pay off our debts, and then we are going to buy a new house, okay?" She strictly refused, saying, "It is not easy to make money, so do not go wasting it." Mok Ly just looked at her warmly and said, "Mom, I just want you to have a better life." Hearing that, Tran Vien thought to herself, "Dear, our little Ly has finally grown up and become so mature." Seeing Mok Ly's complete 180-degree change in attitude, she stopped refusing. "All right, I will do whatever you say, little Ly." The next day, Mok Ly arrived early to look at houses. He thought to himself that the environment here was great, and the price was not too high, so his mother probably would not refuse to live here over the cost. At that moment, a luxury car pulled up. The crowd gasped at the Ferrari F12 TDF, whispering, "Rich people really live in a different world." A girl named Chu Mi stepped out of the car, speaking in a whiny, spoiled voice. "Babe, I think this building looks pretty good." The man with her was Chu Van Dat, 35 years old, the product director of Hong Hai Company. He spoke with 3 parts, pampering, and 7 parts overbearing. "Babe, as long as you like it, that is all that matters." Seeing them together, the bystanders nearby could not help but gossip. Look at that, even an ugly fat guy can get such a beautiful girlfriend, money talks. Chu-mi glared at them and said with utter contempt, what a bunch of trash. Inside, a sales representative was pitching to Mok Ly. Our company has expanded its investment and development here, making the location of Zhongtan Garden incredibly premium. The premium environment is just as good as any 4-star area, not to mention the highly convenient transportation. Our residential buildings have received an amazing response. Many units were booked even before the grand opening, so there are barely any left now. Mok Ly requested the female sales rep, go on, I want to buy a unit facing forward. Ideally, facing the Long Mien River. Good natural light is the most important part, and money is not an issue. Suddenly, Chu-mi spotted a familiar face, lowered her sunglasses, and called out to Mok Ly. Not recognizing her, he asked who she was. She took her sunglasses completely off to jog Mok Ly's memory. I am Chu-mi, the one you always followed around in middle school, calling me your beautiful sister. Are you actually trying to buy a house? Is not your family dirt poor? This place is extremely expensive. I doubt you can even afford to buy the front door. Only then did Mok Ly realize. So, it was her. Back then, Chu-mi manipulated him into spending all his family's money to buy her snacks and movie tickets, only to talk behind his back, saying that Mok Ly was hilarious because he would do whatever she said, just like an obedient dog. He wondered, how did she end up looking like this? Plastic surgery? Chu-mi then spoke up to the sales rep, ma'am, we will take this house. But Mok Ly quickly whipped out a black card to shut her down, stating, I have already bought this house. Thus, the sales rep had no choice but to inform Chu-mi, I am so sorry, but this building only has 1 unit left, and this gentleman got to it first. You two can take a look at the other units. They are also in great condition and not inferior to this one at all. Failing to get her way, Chu-mi immediately began belittling him. Do not believe a word he says. I went to middle school with him, so I know him inside out. His family is dirt poor. There is no way he has that kind of money. But we are different. We can pay half of it up front. Just try us. Mok Ly decided to let the sales rep swipe his card right in front of them. But as soon as the card was swiped, the machine beeped, signaling an error. The sales rep looked at Mok Ly awkwardly and said, the card swipe failed. Sir, is it possible that the PIN is incorrect? Seeing this, Chu-mi became even more smug and arrogant. I told you, he is just putting on a show. How could he possibly have that much money? Mok Ly guessed it might be a bank issue. Let me just transfer the funds through my phone. Sure enough, the wire transfer of 5 million yuan went through successfully. The sales rep announced that the transfer was successful, congratulating him on becoming the new homeowner. Chu-mi was furious, wondering when this poor loser had gotten so rich, so she turned around and whined, Babe, I do not care. I want this house. Chudat, completely swayed by the young girl's charm, gave in, saying he would listen to his meanie and buy it. With that, he called over a sales manager named Van Kok Duke. He quickly ran over, acting incredibly humble, and asked, President Chu, what brings you here today? You came here without even giving me a heads up. He explained that he just wanted to buy a house and didn't dare to bother you, but your subordinate didn't know any better, so there was nothing else he could do. Fearing he would lose a VIP client, Guoda quickly replied, Of course there's a way. How could we be out of options? Zhou Da said with a sly smile, Then I'll have to trouble you. Guode then walked over to Mu Ly and suggested, Young man, let's make a deal. If you give up this apartment, we can arrange another one for you and give you a 20% discount. What do you say? But Mu Ly shook his head in flat refusal, which made Guode raise his voice in anger. Kid, don't do this the hard way. You need to understand one thing this building belongs to, you, family, real estate. The Bijou Yu family, have you heard of them? We could easily refuse to sell you anything at all. Right at that moment, Xiao Xiong and a few assistants happened to walk by. Send me the meeting documents in a bit. Yes, Director Yu. Just as his assistant was reporting that the Jiangxin Garden project was going smoothly, Xiao Xiong glanced over at the two men arguing and immediately recognized Mr. Mu. Meanwhile, Guode was still threatening him, shouting, Out of respect for the Yu family, you must hand over this place. Xiao Xiong quickly stepped in and greeted him. Mr. Mu, what a pleasant surprise to run into you here. He then walked over and politely shook his hand, saying, Mr. Mu, my name is Yu Xiaoxiong. We actually met briefly last time when you and Xiao Tong were leaving the train station. I was the one driving back then, so you might not remember me. Seeing this, Zhou Da was completely baffled, thinking to himself, can someone please tell me why young Master Yu is acting so humble around this guy? Since he ran into someone he knew, Mu Ly decided to ask for a favor. I remember you now. Could you help me settle something here? I wanted to buy a Riverview apartment, but I ran into a bit of trouble. Hearing this, Xiaoxiang's face darkened instantly as he roared. What on earth is going on here? Who dares to disrespect the Yu family's savior? Terrified of getting caught in the crossfire, Guode quickly pointed fingers, stammering, This was all President Zhou's idea. Zhou Da had no choice but to step forward and beg for mercy. Director Yu, Mr. Mu. I was completely blind. I had eyes but failed to recognize greatness. Please, I beg for your forgiveness. I deserve to be punished. It's all my fault. Xiaoxiang then declared, Zhou Wanda, from this moment on, you are banned for life from stepping foot in any Yu family property. Disobey, and you will pay dearly. Left with no choice, Zhou Da slunk away with his tail between his legs. Zhou Mi followed closely behind him, utterly confused. What is going on? Isn't he just that loser from the dirt-poor Mu family? I still remember how pathetic he looked back then. All it took was a little pressure to make him wag his tail like a dog. Suddenly, her father spun around and slapped her right across the face. You stupid, useless woman. This is all your fault for dragging us into this mess. Clutching his head in sheer panic, he cried out in despair. It's over. We offended the Yu family. My entire life is ruined. Back inside, Xiaoxiang was still profusely apologizing. Mr. Mu, I am incredibly sorry. We consider you our savior, so I never expected something like this to happen. Mu Ly placed a hand on his shoulder and replied, Let it go. I don't plan on holding a grudge. A day later, his family moved into their brand new home. Gazing at the gorgeous, luxurious apartment, Chen Yuan gasped in awe. Xiao Li, a place like this must have cost a fortune, right? He reassured her with a warm smile. Don't worry, Mom. I can handle things now. Out of nowhere, a guy popped his head in to greet them and introduced himself. Hey there, I'm your neighbor from across the hall, Chen Long. Looking forward to getting to know you guys. But his eyes were locked right on Mu Xin. Hey there, beautiful. Have we met somewhere before? Why do you feel so familiar to me? Annoyed by the cheesy pickup line, Mu Ly called Chen Long over. The guy asked curiously, What's up, man? Only for Mu Ly to growl. Get close to my sister again, and I'll beat you to a pulp. By the way, did you get that black eye from trying to flirt with some other girl? Hearing that, Chen Long suddenly leaned in with a mysterious look on his face. Listen, man, since you guys have already moved in, I might as well warn you about what goes on around here. Once Mu Ly gestured for him to continue, Chen Long leaned in close and whispered, This place is haunted. Chen Long began his tale. The very first day I moved in, I could tell something was off. I kept feeling this eerie chill down my spine, like a freezing wind was blowing right behind me. That night, a massive storm hit, with pouring rain and loud cracks of thunder. I was lying in bed when suddenly, a woman wrapped her arms around me. She was trembling, crying out, I'm so scared. I'm absolutely terrified. But since I live completely alone, I freaked out, kicked her right off the bed, grabbed my bedside lamp, and started beating the living daylights out of her. After that, I don't really remember what happened next. Mu Ly knew Chen Long was sugarcoating the story to save face, so he raised an eyebrow and teased. Oh, so you don't remember anymore, huh? Left with no choice, Chen Long confessed. Fine. The next day, she brought a whole gang of guys to beat me up and demanded double her escort fee plus medical bills. Annoyed by the ridiculous story, Mu Ly gave him a hard rap on the head and barked, Are you out of your mind? Did you drink yourself stupid? Chen Long hurriedly waved his hands. Wait, let me finish. The night after I got beaten up, I was woken by a tapping on my window. I got up to check, and there was this pale ghost in a white dress with long black hair, wailing miserably. That female ghost kept repeating over and over, Let me in, let me in. After that, all kinds of creepy things started happening. My nightlight would flicker off, the faucets would turn on by themselves, and I'd feel this freezing cold breath right next to my ear. On top of that, it even smells like garlic, so I have no choice but to sell this place. Mok Ly knew that if he didn't deal with this problem right away, it would eventually put his mother and Mok Han in danger, so he decided to tell Tran Long, Hey buddy, why don't you stay at a hotel tonight? Just give me your keys. I'll crash at your place tonight, and I promise you by tomorrow, everything will be completely sorted out. No one will ever bother you again. Hearing this, Tran Long eagerly pulled out his keys and handed them over to Mok Ly. Really? That is amazing. I finally found my savior. Later that night at Tran Long's apartment, Mok Ly forced himself to stay awake. Using his specialized spiritual senses, he immediately felt the female ghost's arrival. Sure enough, in the blink of an eye, a chilling, dark energy filled the entire room. Mok Ly casually broke the ice with her. Hey there. It's the middle of the night. So what exactly are you doing here? The ghost replied in a dark, gloomy voice. My legs. They're gone. Suddenly, an icy cold breeze blew through the window. She stared at him and asked, Can you give me yours? Keeping his cool, Mok Ly replied, Why on earth should I give them to you? Do you even have shoes to wear? This was the first time Tubok had ever met someone who wasn't terrified of her, and she was completely stunned. The room fell into an eerie, dead silence. Mok Ly calmly lay back down on the bed. Well, if you don't have anything else to say, I'm going back to sleep. Annoyed, Tubok went into full-on attack mode. If you won't give them to me, then I'll just take them by force. With that, she lunged straight at Mok Ly. But after a quick and brutal beating, Tubok ended up with a massive bump on her head and burst into tears like a spoiled child. What is wrong with you? How could you beat up a ghost? And you hit so hard, too. Just wait, I'm going to bite you to death. Mok Ly simply grabbed her hand and pressed a surge of spiritual energy directly into her forehead. In an instant, Tubok reverted to her true form, a beautiful young girl, with neatly tied hair, looking far less terrifying than before. Feeling a bit embarrassed, she mumbled, Why aren't you afraid of me? Mok Ly replied casually, Why should I be? It's not like you're actually a bad person, so why go around scaring people anyway? What's your name? And where are you from? Refusing to cooperate, Tubok turned her head away and snapped, Why should I have to tell you anything? But the moment she saw Mok Ly raise his hand to smack her again, she quickly spilled everything. Fine, my name is Truong Tubok. 2 years ago, I was a freshman at Bak Chao University. Back then, this place wasn't finished yet. It was just an abandoned construction site. One day, I decided to take a shortcut through here, but I accidentally fell into a deep pit and broke both of my legs. There was absolutely no one around to hear me. I just lay there, slowly losing my breath until night fell, and I died. Mok Ly fell silent for a moment, then gently asked what she was thinking about right before she died, or if there was still something she left unresolved. Choking back tears, Tubok shared, When I was little, my parents fought constantly. After their divorce, my mom took my older sister and left, while I stayed with my dad, but he was a gambling alcoholic who beat and abused me all the time. Back then, my sister would always sneak over to visit me and bring me delicious food. Then, when I was in middle school, my dad drowned in a lake after getting drunk. My mom couldn't afford to take me in, so my sister actually dropped out of school to work part-time just so she could pay for my education. She is the most amazing sister in the world. Right before I died, I was so terrified and anxious. I didn't want to die yet. She worked so incredibly hard just to get me into Bak Chao University. I hadn't even gotten the chance to repay her or give her the comfortable life she deserves. How could I just die like that? I couldn't let myself die. When I became a ghost, all I wanted was to fly straight to her side and see how she was doing. But I couldn't fly very far. My soul started to fade away, so I had no choice but to linger around here. I can't leave this place. Even if it's just for 1 second, I just really want to see her again. Hearing this, Mok Ly felt deeply sorry for the poor girl. He gently told Tubok, I actually have a way to help you leave this place. She gasped in disbelief. Are you serious? Can you really get me out of here? Tubok's eyes filled with a hope she had clung to for a very long time. Mok Ly explained, In the cultivation world, cultivators who lose their physical bodies can either possess someone else or use rare earthly treasures to reconstruct their bodies and continue their cultivation. But there is another path. They can abandon the physical body entirely and cultivate only their soul. Those who walk this path are known as ghost cultivators. I can do more than just help you leave this place. I can actually help you reconstruct a new life. Tears of gratitude streamed down Tubok's face. If you can really save me, I'll do anything for you. I'll dedicate my entire life to serving you. Mok Ly warned her that her soul was currently highly unstable. It could degrade at any moment, and her consciousness would gradually fade until she completely ceased to exist. I have a special cultivation technique. Once you master it, your soul will become incredibly strong. You'll also gain immense power. Once your soul becomes strong enough, you can forge your own physical vessel, merge with it, and be fully reborn. Staring at the swirling energy manifesting before her, Tuba couldn't help but marvel. This is absolutely incredible. Mok Ly then laid out his terms. I can help you, but on one condition: you must obey my every command. He figured that having her around to protect his mother in the future would give him some peace of mind. Tubok asked curiously, So, you want me to call you master and be your servant? But Mok Ly simply replied, Just calling me Mok Ly is fine. She bowed her head deeply and promised, Thank you so much. Once I've successfully cultivated my human form again, I promise I'll give myself to you to repay this debt. Mok Ly gestured for her to stand up. Stand up straight, then look down at your feet, then. He asked her what she saw. Xiaobai innocently replied, I don't see anything at all, just my feet. Once she realized what he meant, her face darkened. Are you making fun of me? Mu Ly calmly replied. So, why on earth would a flat-chested little brat like you, who's also a ghost, offer your body to repay me? Xiaobai screamed in rage. Mu Ly, you absolute bastard. Her scream was so incredibly loud that the entire building literally shook. People panicked and started asking each other, What's going on? Is it an earthquake? Hurry, run. The next morning, when Qianlong saw Mu Ly step out of his room, he eagerly ran up to him to ask what happened. Bro, are you okay? Did you run into that thing last night? He replied, I told you I'd take care of it for you. I'm a man of my word. That female ghost will definitely never bother you again. Qianlong poked his head in, praising him in amazement. Wow, it feels totally different. The creepy, ghostly energy is gone, and the place actually feels lively now. Bro, you are seriously amazing. Meanwhile, Mu Ly sighed. He had been tormented by that little brat all night and didn't get a single wink of sleep. Last night, he had to stay up all night, transferring a cultivation technique to her. The path of pure simplicity, guard only the spirit, hold fast and lose it not, become one with the divine. A strange light enveloped Xiaobai's body, which Mu Ly then sealed deep inside her. When he curiously asked her how she felt, Xiaobai cheered excitedly. I think it actually worked. Mu Ly suggested, Let's go. I promised my friend who lives here that I'd take you away. She asked, Could you please take me to see my older sister first? Mu Ly just patted Xiaobai's head and softly replied, You can't travel far right now. Write down all your thoughts, and I'll go in your place. He decided to contact Xiao Xiong. Very quickly, he got a reply, Mr. Mu, I've looked into it. Her name is Zhang Xiaoqin, and she works at Xianming Xuan. Mu Ly replied, I understand, thanks a lot. He thought to himself that back in middle school, he had already heard of Xianming Xuan being the most high-end tea house in Beizhou. A single cup of tea can cost thousands of dollars. In my past life, I always dreamed of visiting a high-end place like this. Mu Ly walked into Xianming Xuan, and a young female receptionist warmly greeted him. Hello, sir. Are you looking to buy some tea? Would you like to brew it yourself, or should I call someone to brew it for you? He asked if there was someone named Zhang Xiaoqin working here. The receptionist replied that Xiaoqin was the best tea master in their tea house. Did you want her to personally brew your tea, sir? Mu Ly shook his head. No, actually, I'm here to find her for something. The receptionist immediately called out to Xiaoqin, Someone is here to see you. A moment later, a beautiful girl named Xiaoqin appeared and asked for Mu Ly's identity. Who are you? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he handed a piece of paper to Xiaoqin and said, Someone asked me to pass this message to you. Reading the words on the letter, Sister, I'm so sorry. If there's a next life, I'll definitely be your sister again. She was completely shocked and wanted to know where he got the note. Mu Ly had to lie, telling her that a girl in an ambulance had asked him to give it to her, but he forgot about it. I just happened to find it recently, so I came to deliver it to you. Tears streamed down Xiaoqin's face. This is Xiaobai's handwriting. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. My poor little sister. I'm so sorry I couldn't take care of you. Mu Ly understood this feeling better than anyone. He told himself he had to become stronger, so he would never have to experience the agonizing pain of losing a loved one again. Right then, the manager of Xianming Xuan hurried over and urged her. Zhang Xiaoqin, hurry up. 2 VIP guests have arrived. Get ready and go upstairs to brew tea for them. Crying, she tried to explain, I'm so sorry, manager, but I'm not feeling very well today. Could you please send someone else? The manager snapped. Quit acting so fragile. Even if you aren't feeling well, suck it up and go handle those 2 VIPs. Once you're done, I'll let you go home and rest, all right? But she still refused. I'm really sorry, manager. But my current state is really not fit for brewing tea. Losing his patience, the manager shouted, Zhang Xiaoqin, are you trying to get fired? Mu Ly thought that helping out a little would be a nice favor for Xiaobai, so he stepped up and said, let her rest. I'll brew the tea in her place. The manager looked at this stranger with suspicion. You? Do you even know how to brew tea? It's not as easy as it looks. He told the manager, just let me go. I learned how to brew tea from Xiaoqin. Then, he took Xiaoqin's hand, making her feel a bit embarrassed. Mu Ly explained to the manager, besides, look at her right now. Does she look like she's in any condition to brew tea? Forcing her to go will only cause a mess. The manager wasn't sure if he could trust him, but he reluctantly gestured for Mu Ly to follow. He was led to VIP room 1, where 2 men were sitting and talking. One was Elder Zhuang, an internal martial artist, and the other was Elder Li, an external martial artist. To be exact, they were on the verge of throwing hands. Mu Ly calmly sat down, his hands expertly scooping tea leaves from the jar, while his ears caught the two bickering. I'm telling you, internal martial arts is the ultimate form of martial arts. As long as you have deep internal energy, you can do things an external martial artist could only dream of. That's total bullshit. You think you can rely on internal energy forever? Is it endless or something? Actually, external martial arts build immense strength by forging the physical body. As long as your energy doesn't run out, your power is limitless. Elder Chung couldn't take it anymore and jumped up to argue, Old Man Li, do you even know what you're talking about? Did I ever say we should rely only on internal energy? But right in the middle of their heated argument, he caught a whiff of a very unique tea aroma. Elder Chung turned to look at Mok Ly and thought, this young man. Before he knew it, he was completely captivated by the gentle fragrance. It tasted incredibly calm and elegant, making him feel like he was floating in a peaceful sea of clouds. Elder Chung raised the teacup and took a slow sip. Suddenly, an electric shiver surged through his body. He felt so completely refreshed, like he could transcend reality and do a backflip into a mountain spring. Old Man Li took a sip too and instantly noticed the difference. Young man, your tea brewing skills are absolutely mind-blowing. Surely you know a thing or two about martial arts, right? Tell us, in martial arts, is the external path really stronger than the internal one? This immediately touched a sore spot, making Elder Chung lose his temper all over again. Even if this kid has some knowledge, how deep could he possibly understand martial arts at his young age? Are you trying to put him on the spot? Besides, internal martial arts are obviously way superior to external, and just like that, they started bickering again. No way, external is stronger. No, internal is. External, internal. Mok Ly watched them, completely exhausted by their childishness. Why are they fighting again? No wonder the staff downstairs was so stressed. Deciding he had had enough, he finally spoke up. If you want my honest opinion, both of you are wrong. Outside the door, the tea house manager, who was eavesdropping, suddenly noticed the room had gone dead silent. Why is it so quiet? Don't tell me they started a fist fight in there. Downstairs, Tuken was also praying silently. She hoped Mok Ly could handle the situation. Meanwhile, the two old men stopped bickering and turned their attention to him instead. Well, we've been arguing all day, only for a kid to dismiss both of us with a single sentence. Pray tell, young man, what brilliant insights do you have? We are all ears. Mok Ly calmly explained. Both internal and external martial arts have their own strengths and weaknesses. Every cultivation path under the sun exists for a reason. All rivers flow to the sea. In the end, every single path leads to the exact same ultimate truth. The two old men stared in shock and asked, and what ultimate truth is that? Mok Ly unleashed a fraction of his power and replied, the truth of eternity. They were completely dumbfounded. Elder Chung was the first to snap out of it and scoffed. Eternity? You mean immortality? Kid, have you no shame talking such nonsense? How dare you use such fairy tales to mock us? Mok Ly remained perfectly calm. In martial arts, there is no such thing as the peak. There is always a higher level to reach. Have you two never considered that combining both internal and external training might yield much better results? Elder Chung scoffed again. It's typical for youngsters to chase pipe dreams. So many have tried to master both, but how many actually succeeded? Training in both internal and external at the same time is nothing but a joke. Mok Ly smiled faintly, his voice laced with subtle disdain. Those who call themselves masters are always the ones limiting their own potential. The moment something goes against your beliefs, you reject and mock it. Having said that, He channeled his energy toward a willow branch outside the window. Old Man Ly asked him what he was doing. Without a word, Mok Ly thought to himself, I guess I have to show them my actual power to make them believe me. Using his sheer internal energy, he effortlessly plucked a single leaf from the distant willow tree, then flicked his wrist, sending it flying like a bullet. Elder Chung and Old Man Ly, who were nearly 70 years old, had never seen anything like this in their entire lives. They could only stammer in complete shock. This is. Plucking the leaf with energy is internal, he explained. He then slammed a metal spoon onto the wooden table, splitting it clean in half. And this physical impact is external. This display left them completely paralyzed with fear. They couldn't believe his devastating internal power and pinpoint control. You're a martial venerable. Mok Ly kept a polite smile on his face, but on the inside, he chuckled. A martial venerable? Seriously? These guys are seriously underestimating me. Realizing he was in the presence of a true master, Elder Chung quickly bowed to apologize. Young man, no, master, please forgive us for being so blind and speaking so rudely. Mok Ly simply waved it off. You flatter me, Elder. I only wanted to show you that mastering both internal and external paths is indeed possible. Elder Chung respectfully cupped his hands. May I ask for your honorable name, master? He politely replied. Please, just call me Mok Ly. Elder Chung immediately offered, Master Mok, with your immense power, why humble yourself by working in this tiny tea house of mine? If you like it, I'd be honored to give this entire tea house to you. Mok Ly explained that he was actually just friends with one of the tea brewers here. She wasn't feeling well today and couldn't brew tea for you, so I stepped in to cover for her. Chung quickly put two and two together. Are you talking about young lady Truong Tu Khan? He immediately started plotting in his head. So the master is close friends with someone here. I have to hold on to this connection no matter what. Seeing Mok Ly nod in confirmation, he stroked his beard, absolutely thrilled. It seems Truong Tu Khan has a very close relationship with Master Mok. God is truly on my side. Meanwhile, down the hall, the manager was getting extremely anxious that no loud shouting had started yet. Why is it so quiet? Did he resolve it? Or did something terrible happen? If those two powerful men lose their tempers, we're finished. The moment he saw Mok Ly walking down the stairs, he rushed over in a panic, crying, How did it go? Is everything all right? Explain what happened here. You just said everything was settled, that you debated with them for a bit and managed to convince them. Mingxian still could not believe it. What the heck? How is this settled? Just who exactly are those two anyway? Who gave this kid the guts to argue with people of their stature? Right at that moment, Mu Ly excused himself. Since everything is sorted out, I will head out first. Mingxian had no choice but to handle it himself. Walking over, he muttered under his breath, Oh man, I am so dead. I am definitely losing my job today. Standing before them, he bowed deeply and apologized. Please forgive us. Distinguished elders, that kid is just a new tea brewer who does not know the rules. Please rest assured, I will teach him a lesson, dock his pay, and fire him immediately. Elder Ly turned and whispered, Old Man Zhang, if Master Mu heard what your tea house staff just said. Before Mingxian could even process who this Master Mu was, a teacup on the table was sent flying, and the tea table itself split right in half. With a pale face, old Zhang panicked, thinking, Oh gosh, he did not hear that, did he? Just to be safe, he stood up and roared, I see you do not value your mouth anymore, do you? The one who needs to get the hell out of here is you. Elder Ly chimed in. Master Mu is that very kid you were just talking about. Hearing this left Mingxian utterly bewildered, unable to comprehend what had just happened in the room. Old Zhang then instructed him, Remember this, if Master Mu ever visits our tea house again, you must treat him with the utmost respect. If there is even a single slip-up, I will hold you personally responsible. Also, that girl Zhang Xiaoqin is quite capable. From now on, she will be the one running this tea house. In another corner of Xianxia Pavilion, Xiaoqin still could not hold back her tears. Sobbing, I cannot help but feel devastated every time I think of my sister. Mu Ly comforted her, saying, Your sister once said that being your sister in this lifetime was her greatest happiness. Do not be too sad, who knows, maybe you two will meet again someday. But she shook her head, saying, You do not have to comfort me. I watched her body get cremated with my own eyes, so how could rising from the dead even be possible? Still, Mu Ly, thank you so much for today. When Xiaoqin turned around, he was already gone. Even so, she still whispered, Thank you. Back in Mu Ly's bedroom, Xiaobai was pacing around, inspecting the strange object he had just brought home. Mu Ly explained that he bought this jade porcelain bottle at the market, and it would be her new home from now on. Mu Ly's actions always left Xiaobai curious, prompting her to ask, "What kind of person are you anyway? Why are you so powerful, and where did you learn all of this?" He did not answer, only asking why she was so nosy. But she kept pestering him, saying, "Wait, there is more. There is more. I heard guys always hide sketchy things in their rooms. The shut-in living across the street has adult books under his bed. Do you have some hidden away too?" Helpless, Mu Ly opened the jade bottle and declared, "All right, chat time is over." But no matter how he tried to force Xiaobai, she absolutely refused to go inside. Right at that moment, Mu Xin's voice called out from outside, "Brother,